NBA Deeper Dive presented by SuperDraft. Dave Lochran with me, as always, Adam Scher. He's got the right webcam hooked up today. We're ready to go. Feeling good. So we got a lot planned for today. It is the last legitimate slate before the All-Star break. I know there's 2 games tomorrow, but this is the last sizable slate before all of that. And we're going to be doing a cool giveaway today in the YouTube chat. I'm going to wait till we get more people in here, though, to mention it, because it looks like it says this show starts at 5 and not 4:45. So, well, I'll wait on all of that stuff, and we can just dive right into it. Adam, 11 games, as always. First, how you doing? Second, how are we approaching this one on a pretty big one?
Yeah, doing good. And it's kind of a weird slate, I think, for such a big slate, because there's, at least as of right now, not a ton of really good value, and certainly not a ton of the minimum priced value that we normally tend to get on slates this big, which is kind of surprising to me, since it is the last game before the All-Star break for these teams. So I kind of was expecting / kind of still am expecting some news and random guys to sit, but right now there's just not tons of great value. So it makes it so my lineups right now are looking a little bit more balanced than I guess they normally are on slates of this size.
All right. So Luka Doncic is going to be back. Giannis Antetokounmpo is out after the birth of his son. So we do have some big pieces of news, but everything that's pretty much already been solidified. There's a couple pieces that we're waiting on, but I don't know, Adam, even DeAndre Ayton is out or doubtful. So it's like we have most of the important news.
Yeah, I think the only relevant news that we don't have kind of any sort of lean on is Mike Conley being questionable.
Right.
But even that, you can kind of, Jordan Clarkson would obviously be the big beneficiary, but he played 28 minutes the last time Conley played, and he played 30 minutes without Conley. So, even that, it's kind of not the end of the world that we don't really know.
All right. Let's make it happen. Hey, we're happy to have everyone with us as always. We can get through all these games in a timely fashion, but get you all the good information as always. Orlando, Detroit. Yo, the Pistons scored 76 points against the Hornets the other night.
Yeah, I saw what was it, 87-76 or something?
They scored 76 points. I mean, can you just, kind of add on to this and explain just how disgustingly pathetic that is against the Hornets?
I mean, it's pretty crazy. They're not a good defensive team. Obviously, they play really slow, and the Pistons play slow too. But pretty embarrassing in today's NBA to really ever score 76.
It's funny because the 76ers G League affiliate is the 87ers. How about that? Maybe it's a sign. So Orlando at home against Detroit. They're pretty big favorites here. The Magic are one of those teams that they don't win a lot of games, but it never seems like they're getting blown off the floor. Or like I said, seems that way. Maybe I'm totally wrong. But anyway, they're 7-point favorites, 208.5 total. This total's actually come up 3 points throughout the day. But it is the lowest on the slate. That should surprise nobody. So how about this, though? The Pistons opened against Orlando, a team that on the season has played solid defense, but over the last month has been underwhelming. They opened at 99 points, man. They're at 100.8 now, but you get Derrick Rose back. You get Mikhailuk back. Not to say that Mikhailuk's a legit fantasy option, but it's just more bodies to further complicate this. And if we start with Detroit, which we're going to do, because I think it won't take too long to get through them, a team with a 100-point implied total, coming off a 76-point game, getting more reinforcements, which doesn't help fantasy purposes because a lot of these guys are overpriced because those aforementioned players were out. What are you doing with Detroit?
Pretty much nothing. They look like one of the least appealing teams on the slate for me, because
me too.
There's pretty much any reason you can give for why you wouldn't like an entire team applies to Detroit here. You mentioned that the pricing is up as a result of Derrick Rose being out for so many games, and now he's back. He's on a minutes limit. I haven't seen what that limit is, but if you assume it's somewhere in the mid-20s, that's still a lot of minutes where you have a really high usage guy out there in Rose taking opportunities away from other guys. But then you also have uncertainty in the rotation because you haven't seen with Svi being out, he, like you said, he's not a relevant DFS player, but he does play minutes. And
right, he could play 28 minutes easy tonight.
Right. Like I have him in for 20, but he could clearly play more than that.
Right.
And it has a whole trickle down effect because you also have Markieff Morris back, who played 20 minutes last game. Sekou Demboya started to lose minutes. Does Demboya just leave the rotation right now, which is what I'm guessing. But, it obviously it has a trickle down effect on guys like Morris, on Maker, on whether or not Sekou plays at all. So there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of bad pricing. And then on top of that, or not bad pricing, but overpricing based on prior roles. And then on top of that, you have a team with a 101 total facing a slow Orlando team and a good Orlando defense. So pretty much everything you could think of is working against Detroit here.
I'm with you. There's just nothing I really like, and we both said it. Even if there were players that you were remotely fond of, the pricing is like for a Reggie Jackson. I don't know, maybe Reggie Jackson puts up quality numbers here, but I don't really feel like finding out at $6,300 with Derrick Rose back, even if Rose only plays 26 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And even on FanDuel, Reggie Jackson's 5,400, which is more in the ballpark of where I think he starts to become playable.
Yeah.
But of course, it's FanDuel. So, he's 5,400, but I am pretty confident that there's a million plays that still look better.
I think I said the same thing to Sal about 10 times on today's strategy show, that every time you find a good salary on FanDuel, you have to preface it with, yeah, well, this isn't unique. This isn't, you're not finding a diamond in the rough.
Right. I mean, just, quickly I pulled up FanDuel pricing and, 5,400 for Reggie Jackson. It's kind of like, yeah, okay, that's fine. But then right above him, you have a $5,800 Terry Rozier against Minnesota, a $5,800 Colin Sexton against Atlanta, and a $5,900 Ricky Rubio against Golden State. So I still don't really think there's appeal in Jackson.
Yeah, that's a good point. Throwing him up against a few of these other players, it definitely becomes a whole lot less appealing. There's another team too that we'll get into where everyone's just priced up from an injury, and we won't have to spend much time there. But let's finish with Orlando before we move on from this one. What are we doing with the Orlando Magic 7-point favorites? 7 now. It was moved from 7.5 to 7. Is Nikola Vucevic appealing to you going up against the likes of Thon Maker and Christian Wood?
Yes and no. I think that it is a good spot for Vooch, and he does stand out as really the only guy in this game that I'm particularly interested in. The problem you run into is that center is really, really deep today, and there's a lot of really high upside guys. So you do still have to consider that Detroit has been the second slowest team in the NBA over the last month. Orlando has been the fourth slowest. There just shouldn't be a lot of possessions in this game. So even if Vooch does have success against a really weak Detroit front court, it's still, what's the likelihood that he outscores all of Karl Anthony Towns and Andre Drummond against Atlanta and Valanciunas against Portland and Whiteside against Memphis? Like there's just so many really good center spots today where I think it's tough to prioritize Vooch unless you're just looking at it through the lens of he's going to be low owned for all of those reasons. And it's a good way, or it's a high upside way that you can differentiate your tournament lineups. But outside of that, if you're talking about priorities, it's still really hard to get to him, I think.
Yeah, this entire game for the most part is pretty unappealing. Maybe you have a few things that jump out to you that I'm not seeing here, but once we get through these 10 remaining games, you'll start to see, as the viewer, as a listener, that things begin to really open up. And I'm not going to be forcing things on tonight's slate with teams that I think are, moderately okay, but not really anything that really stands out.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at too. Like there's guys on Orlando, namely Vooch, but then also, even talking about guys like Gordon and Fournier, like it wouldn't be shocking if they had a good game, but there are a lot of spots that I legitimately like on this slate. And whenever that's the case, that means that there's going to be spots that I like that are low owned just because of how many options there are. So it takes some of the appeal away from going to a less appealing spot just to get like a little bit more contrarian when I don't really need to.
All right, let's talk about Cleveland and Atlanta. By the way, two teams, Cleveland against Atlanta, New York against Washington. Both teams where you look at them and you say, man, I really want to like these guys because it's against Atlanta, it's against Washington. We'll take one step at a time, not get ahead of ourselves. and talk about Cleveland and Atlanta first. So the Cleveland Cavaliers at home are 3-point dogs, but this game has a lofty 234.5 total. That's interesting. Sorry, 2-point dogs here. Both teams are projected to score north of a lot of points, and it has the second highest total on this 11-game slate. I want to start with Andre Drummond because in his first game, his debut with the Cavaliers, he played 29 minutes, but he was on pace to play around 33. They got the shit kicked out of him against Atlanta or against the Clippers. Not even close, as it shouldn't have been. But even with Kawhi Leonard out, didn't make a difference. It's just a bad basketball team, Adam. But I'll set the table and I'll turn it over to you. First, Kevin Love, we already know that he's dealing with this Achilles injury, and if he's out, Larry Nance is going to start. So that news we got earlier in the day. My rule of thumb is if they give a contingency plan for a player early in the day, if he's out, I'm going to assume they're out. But Drummond, whether or not Love is in, it doesn't matter. But if he's out, it's even more ability to rack up boards and such. But if you give him 34 minutes here, I get a lot. How many minutes are you giving Drummond? Because that's going to change everything.
I have Drummond at 32 minutes, but even doing that, he projects really well for me. The reason I went 32 is just that I have trouble. It's kind of like the Nikola Jokic and Mason Plumlee situation when Plumlee's healthy. I just have trouble giving Tristan Thompson less than like 15 or 16 minutes. And obviously they're not playing alongside each other. So for that reason, like it's tough for me to go above 32 or 33 minutes for Drummond, but I really don't need to either. He's only 9,400 on DraftKings. You've got a great matchup against Atlanta, who's played at the third fastest pace over the last month, one of the worst defensive teams in the league. Drummond's, obviously only played one game with Cleveland, but the usage was pretty much the same as what you were seeing with Detroit. He had 22 rebound opportunities in those 29 minutes, which was 10 more than Tristan Thompson, who had the second most. Everything pretty much looked like the status quo from what he was doing in Detroit. So I expect him to produce at a similar level, and it's a really good spot. So I really, really like Drummond.
I like him a lot too. What about Larry Nance? Do you have Kevin Love playing? Like I said, I don't think he's going to play.
I have Love out right now. We did get one of the Cleveland beat writers also speculating, but saying that he did not expect Love to play. So, kind of take that for what it's worth, but he's on the same page that we are. So I have Nance in for 34 minutes. If he gets that, he obviously looks like a really good value because of the matchup. You prefer him playing when he's not playing alongside someone like Drummond or Thompson because the rebounding numbers go up, but he should still get enough rebound opportunities at his price point that it's still a good option. And he kind of just, contributes enough across the board where at a cheap price tag, if you're getting, 32 to 34 minutes, he looks really good in this matchup. But Love potentially being out also has a trickle down effect to where it helps to solidify Kevin Porter's minutes. I have him in for 28. Chetty Osman's minutes, who I have in for 30 minutes here. Not that either of them are guys that you're super confident in, but they are cheap, and I think you also get a little bit of increased usage potentially for Colin Sexton. But even if you don't give him more usage, you're talking about a 27 to 28% usage guy playing around 34 minutes against the Hawks, which isn't bad either.
All right. So now that the room's starting to populate a bit, I wanted to wait till everyone got in here so everyone had a fair chance of knowing what we're doing today. SuperDraft sponsors the Deeper Dive and Live Before Lock, and they're running their biggest contest ever today, $40,000, $10K to first, a really solid contest. I know you're going to be jumping in that, Adam. And if you haven't signed up yet, you want to use the promo code AWESEMO. That's AWESEMO. Because when you deposit or sign up and deposit $100 or more, you get a free $20 in super cash. and that can be used on the site to play and win real money. So here's the deal. $40,000 jump shot, $100K to first. We are giving away 45 tickets to this. It's $12 to enter, $10,000 up top. And tonight during the Deeper Dive and Live Before Lock, we are going to be giving 45 tickets out to people in chat. So here's what you have to do. I'm gonna let our social media guys handle this, and we're going to give 45 away in chat. So just keep your eyes on chat and they will let you know. They will let you know what you need to do. Good luck to everyone. You have to, by the way, when you answer, provide your super chat or your super draft username, and you have to already have signed up. You don't have to, if you sign up, make sure to get your free $20 in super cash. But if you're not depositing $100, just make sure you have an account at SuperDraft. Good luck to everyone. 45 tickets going there. Hopefully somebody takes that 10K down. All right. Adam, what about on the Atlanta side?
Obviously a good matchup for them as well. A little bit less appealing because it's not the pace-up spot that it is for Cleveland, and you also don't potentially have Kevin Love or the equivalent on Atlanta missing this game. But Trey Young in particular really stands out. He is priced up as he should be, but in competitive games, you're normally going to get around 36 minutes from him. And he's just been incredibly productive in games that John Collins has played this year. His usage percentage actually goes up in those games. His assist percentage goes up. He's averaged 1.56 DraftKings points per minute in 23 games with Collins this year, compared to 1.39 points per minute in 26 games without him. So all that looks really good. And then if you even dig a little bit deeper into it, Trey Young leads the league in pick and roll possessions per game this season. Cleveland ranks in the 6th percentile in pick and roll efficiency as far as defending it goes. They've allowed the 16th most pick and roll possessions per game. So it's not like they've done a good job of just preventing it either. Obviously, things do change when you have Drummond instead of Thompson, but that's not something that I expect to have an impact on Trey Young's efficiency here. So Young, I think, looks really good. Beyond that, kind of secondary options with players like Collins and Herter. Dwayne Dedmon, I think, is a decent value. The problem you run into is that he's a center, and as we kind of already mentioned when we talked about Vooch, there's a ton of opportunity cost at the position today, and there's strong center options at pretty much every different price range. So you got 28 minutes from Dedmon last game. It's a nice matchup against Cleveland, and obviously a big Cleveland front court. So I think there's a good chance that Dedmon plays 28 to 30 minutes again. It's just, can you get enough out of Dedmon in 28 to 30 minutes to justify giving up someone like, Towns or Drummond or someone like that?
Well, and also Diallo. I mean, you and I might have different opinions on him. Even though Jonah Bolden's playing, I still expect Diallo to get a lot of minutes today. So
yeah, that's a valid point too. Like Diallo and Larry Nance both, they're power forward eligible, but you also can roster them at center, and
right.
they're in that same price range as Dedmon.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I have Dedmon at 28 minutes right now. I feel okay with that, right? Yep. I think he played overtime in overtime the other game, not all of the double overtimes though. And he played 28 minutes in regulation last time. So I think that's a pretty fair number. What else for Atlanta? Or we can always move on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with moving on. Like Collins and Herter are the two guys.
It's just too expensive every single night, at least on DraftKings.
Right. He's completely in that territory where he still has upside because, he can go out there and get you 55 points occasionally, but you're very clearly paying for the ceiling and overpaying for the median production. And the same goes for Herter, who, he's still playing big minutes, but he's up to 6,200 on DraftKings. He doesn't get as many assists with Trey Young in the lineup, and now you have Jeff Teague backing up Young, so the assist numbers are harder to come by. So Young's the clear priority for me. Dedmon works as a value option if you need it.
Okay. Yeah, with Collins, $7,800 on FanDuel isn't bad, but how many times do we have to say it? Like
right.
That everybody is in a decent spot. So I'm being told now that the promo code to sign up on SuperDraft is Awesemo10. So my apologies, not Awesemo, AWESEMO10, and we'll start this giveaway at 5:30 Eastern time. So my Awesemo10, not Awesemo. Simple enough. So let's move on to New York and Washington. Similarly with Cleveland gets more interesting if Love is out. Then I think, players like Larry Nance actually become viable. If Love plays, for me, it's really just Drummond. I guess you could get into that backcourt a little bit, but for me, it's mostly just Drummond. Now, as far as the Knicks are concerned, this is another one of those spots, man, where you love the matchup, but how much can you do with it? So the Knicks are 3-point favorites at home, 229 total, though. That's a big total for the New York Knicks, no matter who they're playing. Washington, one of the worst graded defenses, fastest paced teams in the league. Julius Randle is always going to be a somewhat viable option. And in this particular spot, especially against this Washington front court, I think you'll see a good game from him. But at 8,600 in DraftKings and FanDuel, is that enough for you to get there?
It wouldn't be in like the first lineup that I make, I don't think, but he does look like a really good option to me, just because, no Marcus Morris benefits him as well. He has a 31.7% usage rate in games without Morris this year. He should play 34 to 35 minutes. Washington's not a good rebounding team. They play fast. They don't defend in the paint very well. They've given up the 5th most points in the paint over the last month. So all that looks really good for Randle. It kind of just, as far as, being the top play or something like that, it just comes down to the fact that there's 11 games on the slate and you have really good value at this position with Cheick Diallo, and we're assuming Larry Nance, among others. You also have like PJ Washington, who we'll talk about, and some other guys. So not like the number one, guy at the position for me, but that does make him an appealing tournament option, because I haven't made my tournament lineups yet, but I did kind of just crunch out to see like what optimal lineups look like on DraftKings, and Randle wasn't getting in them, which generally means that the ownership will be down a little bit, since people tend to just kind of play top projected lineups and not worry about too much else. So Randle, I think, is a good high upside tournament target, but probably not someone that's making his way into like my cash lineup.
Okay. Yeah, this is one of these high ceiling spots for Randle, or high upside spots for Randle for sure. And I love that you're getting routinely big minutes from him. But yeah, he's a secondary option. It kind of goes to what I'm saying, though. Again, with this team, you really want to like them more against Washington, just because we know what Washington's given up all season long. But it gets a little bit more difficult when Elfrid Payton is $7,500 on DraftKings, 7,200 on FanDuel. I mean, it's not egregious, but it's also just not going to jump out at you.
Yeah, agreed. Orlando starting lineup is what we expected it to be.
Okay. You're only saying that because you weren't paying attention and you thought you needed to say something, because why would we have any conversation about Orlando's lineup?
Well, that news just came out. And that's what I was reading when I wasn't paying attention.
You could have given me Mike Conley being out news, and that would have been even better.
Yeah, well, we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. That's fair. What I'm saying is Elfrid Payton's expensive. They're all either expensive or not good, even though it's a good matchup. Close out the Knicks, and then we'll talk about the Wizards, which actually get a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where I'm at too. You also have Mo Harkless probable for the Knicks, which I like, not that he's a viable play, but you already, if you look at the last game the Knicks played, you had a very David Fizdale-like rotation going, where basically you're still getting a bunch of Ntilikina minutes off ball. You only got 8 minutes from Smith. You got Ellington playing minutes. Now you throw Harkless into the mix too. It's just really tough to project enough minutes for most of these guys to matter beyond Julius Randle.
What about on Washington? Mo Wagner, expect him to get 24 minutes or so today. The thing I like about him, sorry, I said 24. I have him at 26. And here's what I like about Wagner. So Washington has been competitive recently in their last few games. Against Chicago, they pulled away, but still, that was where your actual closing lineup was your starters and what you'd expect it to be. 7-point loss to Memphis, 1-point win over Dallas. I say this because Wagner's closed out each of the last 2 games for Scott Brooks and the Wizards.
Yeah, exactly. And the minutes have trended up since he came back from injury. The only concern that I would say that I have is that we got the, Scott Brooks bullshit about monitoring minutes yesterday. I don't know if he actually does like alter his rotation a little bit with it being a back-to-back, but I have Wagner in for 26 minutes, just like you do. And I think, it's a fair projection because he could play 24, he could play 28. We don't really know. But he's been greater than a 1 fantasy point per minute guy this year. It's not like it's a bad matchup against the Knicks. He actually does look like the most appealing option from the Wizards for me. I still don't think he's a priority in terms of the slate, but I do think there is upside at his price tag.
Okay. What about Rui? What about Beal? I think that the issue that I have with Beal, very similar to yesterday when we were way higher on Zach LaVine just because of his price, is I like Devin Booker a lot today. I liked Beal more, or I'm sorry, I like Levine more than I liked Booker today, but I still love Devin Booker. And Devin Booker's $1,200 less expensive than Beal on DraftKings. He's $1,500 less expensive on FanDuel. There are a lot of guys like Middleton, $7,200 in shooting guard on FanDuel as well. Beal's price point is a little bit prohibitive, not because the matchup's bad, not even because he's necessarily overpriced, but because so many other players are underpriced. What are you doing there?
Yeah, I agree completely. It's just really tough. Washington as a team, I'm kind of surprised how little I'll be getting to. But I think it's because, for one, you have Washington more or less fully healthy now. You're getting Scott Brooks going back to, running pretty deep rotations. And I have Beal in for 36 minutes, but I think it's worth pointing out that in the last couple competitive games, he's been around 34. They have enough bodies now where it's pretty easy to, shave a couple minutes off of him if Scott Brooks wants to. And you're not really getting close to seeing those 38, 39-minute games anymore. So I think that he's priced to where he still has a pretty nice ceiling because he's going to lead the team in usage. He gets up a ton of shots. He's been attacking the rim more. But like you said, he's more expensive than Booker by a lot. He's in the same kind of price range as guys like Trey Young at guard, but then also across other positions, he's more expensive than like an Andre Drummond. He's more expensive than Vooch. It's just really, really tough for me to get to Beal, even though I do think it's a fine spot, and I do think obviously he's a high upside player.
Do you like anybody else from Rui to Ish to Bertans to Troy Brown today?
Not as far as
Kevin Love is ruled out.
I was going to say it after. Not as far as
until I caught you sleeping again.
Yeah. Rui's price is fine. He played 32 minutes yesterday. I have him in for 30 here. Bertans I for 30 minutes as well. They all look like they're all coming in right around that like 5x mark for me. But on this slate with as much good value as we have at the power forward positions, it's hard for me to really prioritize Rui or Bertans.
Okay. Let's keep it moving. Yeah, Love out, Conley out. So we're getting all of this news. Feels like one of these slates where we're going to get a surprise inactive.
Yeah, I'm like I kind of said at the beginning of the show, I'm nervous about how quiet news has been today.
Exactly. And how accurate and early it's been.
Yeah, exactly.
That never ends well. Anyway, let's keep it moving here. By the way, your deeper dive is free today, or your deep dive is free today on the site. You put a ton of time into that, and it's a comprehensive position by position breakdown. You can check that out at awesemo.com today, totally free. So really, if you haven't done it, there's no reason not to during, after, before these shows. Go ahead and check that out, along with the other free content like the NHL lineup builder and the PGA player rankings. Indiana, Milwaukee. So the Bucks in this one are only 1-point favorites without Giannis Antetokounmpo. We knew that he's going to be out. 222.5 total. What are we doing to start with the Pacers, where you've got guys like Oladipo who are going to be getting a ton of ownership, and we need to start there. He has been, I know it's only a few games. I know you still have that rust, but it's been a really rough go for him so far. And he has an EFG of an effective field goal percentage of like 36%, Adam. 35.3%. That's really bad. But do we look at this spot and say, you got to keep going back to the well? Because I don't see him playing more than 28 minutes today. There's no real reason for McMillan to increase his minutes one game before the All-Star break.
Yeah, and I think normally in situations like this, it really comes down to the ownership for me. And I talked about this in the deep dive article that you mentioned. The opportunities are still there. He's got about a 28% usage rate since he came back. If you break it down into field goal attempts per 36 minutes, he's about the same as last year. He's driving at about the same rate as he was last year. He's just shooting incredibly bad. And on one hand, I think that's to be expected. Like, he's coming back from one of the most difficult injuries to rehab from, and it's likely that it takes him a while to get back to the type of player that he was before. But on the other hand, he's not going to continue being this bad to where he's averaging about 3/4 of a fantasy point per minute, whereas last year he averaged 1.15 DraftKings points per minute. So I think that the real truth is kind of in the middle, and the price tag is fair. I expect 27 or 28 minutes. It's a pace-up spot against Milwaukee. No Giannis makes the defense a little bit worse. So it's an okay spot for Oladipo. But that being said, he's projected as the highest owned guy on DraftKings right now. And I don't really think that should be the case because there are so many good values on this slate. Maybe that changes when we account for Kevin Love being out, but there are a lot of good values on this slate. And there's a lot of guys in that price range that you can expect to play in the mid 30s in minutes, whereas Oladipo is pretty clearly expected to be limited to 27 to 28 minutes. So, he can outperform that price tag, but it really just comes down to, I think he has a really wide range of outcomes. And if a large percentage of the field thinks he's a great play, I'm fine being underweight on him.
A ton of these guys in the top 10 projected ownership right now on DraftKings will make your eyes hurt.
I would love for DraftKings ownership tonight to actually look like we have it projected right now.
It would be fantastic. No question about it. We'll get to the other guys that we're talking about shortly, but yeah, it seems like right now there's going to be some ways to definitely get a little bit different and feel pretty good about it. How about the Milwaukee side? Giannis is out, which means that, yes, Bledsoe's price has come up, Middleton's price have come up, but I don't really think it matters. I mean, if you just look at their per minute production with Giannis off the floor, how much does it actually matter? You take him off the floor this season. We could go back to with Brogdon off last season as well, but you take Giannis off the floor this season and Middleton's averaging 1.53 fantasy points per minute, 522 minutes. Bledsoe 1.56, I think. Like, these are monster numbers, and I don't really see them slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit lower on them than you are, especially with the DraftKings pricing where, they are priced up. Middleton's at 8,800, Bledsoe's at 7,700. And one reason is that like a lot of the minutes or some percentage of the minutes that they play without Giannis on the floor are against, second units or in kind of weird situations. So a lot of times you're going to get kind of inflated, point per minute averages. In 5 games this season without Giannis, Middleton's still averaged 1.63 DraftKings points per minute. Going back to last year, he's played 14 games without him. He's averaged It's in my article. Sorry, I'm trying to find it. 14 games since last season. He's averaged 1.38 DraftKings points per minute without Giannis, 1.63 in 5 games without him this year. Overall, 1.42 DraftKings points per minute in 525 minutes without him on the floor. So I think that, it's somewhere in that 1.4 DraftKings point per minute range is where I would expect him to be if he played, every game without Giannis and with Bledsoe out there. You have a little bit worse matchup or a slow-paced Indiana team that ranks in the middle of the pack in defensive rating. So I have Middleton's per minute numbers a little bit lower than that. So on FanDuel, I think him and Bledsoe both look like really, really good options. On DraftKings, I think that they're more of secondary options for me. I think that Bledsoe looks better than Middleton because I think that they should produce at about the same rate, and Bledsoe is a little bit cheaper.
Totally agree that Bledsoe is the better option here, but I mean, the fact that Bledsoe right now getting 10% ownership and Chris Middleton getting 8% makes them a lot bit more appealing to me, just because I expect them to get, Middleton played 34 minutes last game. I would expect something similar today in a projected high scoring or a competitive game. Bledsoe 32 minutes. I think this game stays close, and obviously they're much better on FanDuel, but so is everyone. Bledsoe would be my top player from this team today on DraftKings, but we got to talk about Ersan Ilyasova. He is like a 1.07 per minute guy with Giannis off. He actually got into some foul trouble last game. If you look at the rotation, Budenholzer kind of made up for those minutes a little bit towards the end of the third, but he was still on pace to play around 29 minutes. He played 25. What do you make of Ilyasova tonight?
I'm not really that interested just because of how good the value at the position is. I have him in for 26 minutes. He's, I think, been more productive than you would expect him to be in a couple of the games that Giannis was out. I don't love the matchup here. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get to much of him.
Anybody else? Is there anyone that might not be a popular option for this team, like a DiVincenzo, anyone we haven't touched on yet?
Not really. Like, for the most part, they're just guys that project like decent options, but I have a lot of guys I like more. Lopez I have in for 32 minutes. I have him in for like 29 and a half DraftKings points at 5,800, which is pretty mediocre. DiVincenzo I have in for 26 minutes, like 23 and a half DraftKings points, which at 4,500 is okay, but not priority on the slate. So I think that DraftKings did a really good job, I think, with the Milwaukee pricing. FanDuel did not. So Middleton and Bledsoe look like priorities there, and then you have secondary options in guys like Ilyasova, DiVincenzo, and Lopez.
Okay. If you're just joining us now, be sure to keep your eyes on the YouTube chat, giving away 45 tickets to tonight's Super Draft contest. It's the biggest contest they've done, $40,000, $10K up top. Make sure to give your Super Draft name when you answer questions and make sure you're registered on the site. But giving away 45 tickets there. Just keep your eyes on the chat, getting that started any minute. Brooklyn and Toronto. The Brooklyn Nets here at home, 3.5-point dogs, 223.5 total, right in the middle of this slate. Kyrie Irving remains out. He has been sidelined for more games than he hasn't been this season. Serge Ibaka on the opposite side, questionable for this one. Do you think he plays?
I have him in right now, but I guess that is the like one piece of news that we're still really waiting on.
Yep. Yeah, because Norman Powell is still out, and I mean, outside of that, the Ibaka news is the big thing. But if you look right now on DraftKings or on Awesemo.com and you look at some ownership, there are some Brooklyn guys that are getting pretty significant ownership tonight in like the top 15 overall.
Yeah, and I think that's okay. The guys getting it though aren't the ones that I think it should be.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's what, Harris and Taurean Prince.
Yeah, it should be LeVert and Dinwiddie, but yeah, I mean Brooklyn. It's a tough matchup against Toronto, but they're still playing without Kyrie, so I expect around 35 minutes from Dinwiddie. I expect around 33 minutes from Karis LeVert. Dinwiddie in the games without Irving since LeVert came back has a 27.9% usage rate, 35.5% assist percentage. Looks like a reasonable option. Like I would rather play Bledsoe at that price point than Dinwiddie, but Dinwiddie's not too far behind for me. LeVert at 6,600 I think is interesting, especially on DraftKings where he has guard and forward eligibility, so you can get him into a lot of spots. He's got a usage rate up over 30% since or without Kyrie on the floor. If you assume he's going to play about 15 minutes or about 13 minutes, sorry, without Dinwiddie either, that gives him a really productive basically half of his playing time. So I think despite the matchup, LeVert looks pretty good. Prince and Harris are both secondary options for me. I think that, I have them projected almost identical at just shy of 27 DraftKings points. Prince should play around 30 minutes. I think you get 33 or 34 from Harris. They just kind of seem unnecessary to me as far as priorities go. And I think that their projected ownership will drop as we update for Kevin Love being out, because I would just, not only would I rather get to someone like Larry Nance, but you can get a little bit cheaper going to guys like Chetty Osman and Kevin Porter as well at those positions.
Let's take a look at Toronto. Last time out, they dropped 137 points in regulation without Ibaka. Not to say that he's the thing that makes them play well, but Rondae Hollis-Jefferson ended up starting and playing considerable minutes at the 5 position. And this is one of those things I had mentioned to you with Nick Nurse. The idea was like, hey, they'll probably start Boucher against Karl Anthony Towns, but Nurse is one of those stubborn guys, not in a bad way, that doesn't just conform to who he's going up against. And Hollis-Jefferson ended up playing 34 minutes at the 5 instead of Boucher. So that's something to keep in mind here. Chris Boucher played only 13 minutes in this game, just got some substitute, or got like short rotations at the end of the first and early second, same with the third and fourth. And Terrence Davis ends up playing 15 minutes, but we've seen Nurse do this when they're down a lot of guys. He just gives his starters huge minutes. Anunoby played 36, Van Vliet played 37.5, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson 34, Lowry played 40, and Siakam played 37.
Right. And so, if Ibaka's in, I expect around 32 minutes from him. I expect Boucher to back him up. And I expect Hollis Jefferson to go back to an 18 to 20-minute role, in which case Ibaka looks like the best option from Toronto. He's only 6,300. And it is a fast-paced Brooklyn team. You should get pretty good production from Ibaka, Lowry, and Siakam, and to a lesser extent Van Vliet would all look like secondary options for me. And I wouldn't really be interested in OG because his price did come up after last game. If Ibaka is out though, and obviously it would depend on the starting lineup. But if Hollis Jefferson starts again, I would expect again like 33 minutes from Hollis Jefferson and Boucher to just be backing him up. So Hollis Jefferson, if he starts in Ibaka's place, would look like a great value. You also would get more minutes for OG, although with his price being up to 5,200, it still wouldn't be a great value, I don't think.
Yeah, RHJ at his current price point, especially on DraftKings, where you said, Milwaukee guys are priced nicely, but I'd say most players are priced reasonably. Even if you look at like Chick Diallo, Hollis Jefferson, 43 on FanDuel, but 43 on both of these spots. If he does get the start, Adam, you have to project him for another like 32 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm really hoping Ibaka plays because DraftKings pricing today is actually really good. And if he doesn't play and Hollis Jefferson starts, it kind of just gives you like a free square that starts to make the slate a lot less fun.
All right. I'm with you. And Hollis Jefferson, basically a fantasy point per minute, DraftKings point per minute guy this season. So
also, Hollis Jefferson should have tons of revenge in his heart against Kenny Atkinson, who absolutely hates the guy.
I never understood that. I remember reading like his backstory and everything. Hollis Jefferson's right initially when he came into the league. Atkinson really wanted him to shoot threes more, and he wasn't confident in it. Sound familiar? And then he slashed Atkinson's tires or something after practice. What?
You're making that up, right?
You didn't hear about that?
No, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, slashed his tires. Just a while. No, of course not. But they didn't like each other. You're absolutely right. Do you think there's actually something to this today?
No, but I mean, and I actually have no idea.
Fun narrative, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea if they even disliked each other. I just know that Kenny Atkinson loved to play every single player he possibly could, except for Hollis Jefferson.
Yeah, I know Hollis Jefferson. There was a lot of frustration there, and I believe it a couple of times it was voiced. I'm joking, Cantor. Don't worry, but I think, and this is from what I read and how their relationship seemed to be. And look, I'm not certainly not an authority on this. I don't know all that much about everything behind the scenes in Brooklyn, but it felt like Atkinson wanted him to play a way that he wasn't willing to play. So I don't know. Do you like anything else for Toronto?
Nah, not really.
Minnesota, Charlotte. Let's keep it moving. Deeper dive, by the way, is how you get 50% off your first week of Awesemo Plus. We got a lot of games to get through, so I'll make this quick. But if you haven't checked it out yet, all of our ownership, our player projections, all of our other projections at awesemo.com/join. If you decide you want to sign up, you want to see what is behind the curtain, what everyone's been raving about and helping people win a whole lot of money, use the promo code Deeper Dive to get that half off your first week. Also, we're doing a monster giveaway, the biggest ever. Get it in by 10 p.m. tonight at Awesemo_com. It's the Twitter handle. We're giving away 3 Awesemo Plus annual all access passes, 3 of them. That's a value of $3,000. And we want one of you, a couple of you guys, maybe even 3 of you guys to win it. So follow the directions over there at Awesemo_com. Minnesota and Charlotte. We've got the Charlotte Hornets, 228 total here. They're 8.5 point dogs on the road. With Minnesota, this is a very interesting rotation. And it's hard to say exactly what Saunders is going to be doing each game, but we got a decent idea with D'Angelo Russell how things could look. So Russell plays 32 minutes, closes. Obviously, Beasley plays 32, closes the game. Juan Hernangomez played 26 and closed out the game. And Towns closed out the game at 37 minutes. Who else closed out the game? Well, a guy that is actually projected to get quite a bit of ownership today, particularly on DraftKings. His name, Adam, James Johnson.
Yeah, I don't really know what to make of that. I have him in for 24 minutes right now. Him and Okogie both. You saw him close over Josh Okogie there and pick up 4 extra minutes at the end of the game. So I don't think it's going to be consistent going forward. I think that the Minnesota rotations, though, did look kind of clean for the first time in a while. Like you could see very clearly who was coming in for who and who was leaving for who, and it was kind of nice. But I think that you're probably going to see one of Johnson or Josh Okogie in the closing lineup. Overall, as far as plays go, like if you want to take some shots at James Johnson, I think it's fine. I'd be shocked if his ownership stays as high as it is right now. And if it does, I will not be getting nearly that much. But he looks like an okay value at 3,500 on DraftKings. I think that Beasley's kind of in that same boat where he's going to lose some usage now that D'Angelo Russell is back. Obviously he's going to at best be the third option behind Russell and Towns. With Denver this year, he had about a 20% usage rate. I think it's reasonable to expect that to continue over here. And so he looks like a decent option at 4,700, but I would put him behind some other guys in that price range. Russell at 8,300, I think is not like I would rather play Devin Booker in that price range by a pretty wide margin. It's a really slow Charlotte team, and I think that hurts Russell here. So the one guy that really stands out to me is Towns, who should play huge minutes. We've seen 35, 36 minutes in most competitive games this year, played 37 minutes last game. I don't expect Russell's presence to really take anything away from Towns. I think there is a chance that maybe Towns actually becomes a little bit better, playing with a better facilitator in Russell than Andrew Wiggins is. And, assuming Russell has similar usage to Wiggins, it's a net, neutral change there. So Towns really looks like a good option to me. Russell, Beasley, Johnson are all kind of just neutral, like average plays. And then there's nothing else that I really see from Minnesota.
Okay. So, all right. Outside of Towns, and I do like Towns quite a bit today. By the way, thank you for that super chat. Short sleep. Is Ibaka the biggest news we need on this slate? Yes. Right now, we've pretty much gotten everything else. Towns, very appealing. James Johnson, it's tough because if James Johnson was going unnoticed, that's one thing. But like, are we really looking to play a chalk James Johnson just because he's cheap? Like, is it worth it?
It's just, it doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, even if he gets 26 minutes, like he's not going to be a high usage guy because he's going to be behind Towns, Russell, Beasley at the very least. Maybe he gets some rebounds and some assists. Like he can contribute in every category, and he is really cheap. But it's not like the minutes are solidified either. Like I think that there's a lot of times where he only plays 22 minutes and Josh Okogie plays 26. So yeah, I don't really understand him being popular.
And Beasley, I don't hate Beasley, but I mentioned earlier today that he only had 4 potential assists last game with D'Angelo Russell out there. The point to be made here is that Beasley is going to be a very scoring-dependent player. As a matter of fact, Karl Anthony Towns had double-digit potential assists last game, and that's one of the things that makes him a very high upside player every single night. He actually has 6+ assists in like 4 of his last 6, Adam. So that's always an encouraging number when you've got a guy that racks up monster double-doubles to begin with. Towns clearly my favorite guy here. On the other side, we'll get into Devontae Graham and his price point, of course, on FanDuel. But I am willing to get to P.J. Washington today, even if he's going to be owned. He played 36 minutes last time. Before he got injured, he was playing a lot of minutes. Borrego pretty much just took the leash off and let him do whatever however many minutes he wanted to play. And it is a big time pace up spot against Minnesota. They rank bottom 5 in defense over the last month. They are one of the fastest paced teams in the league, or at least top 10. I know that Washington has struggled since returning, but you're still without Cody Martin. 36 minutes from Washington last game. It feels like there is at least the potential for him to come out and put up solid numbers at a low 4K price point. Where are you at on Charlotte?
Yeah, PJ Washington looks like a really good value to me. I have him in for 32 minutes just because the minutes have fluctuated so much this year. But it's really, really nice to know that, and we've seen it multiple times, not just last game, but that he has 36 minutes in his range of outcomes here. It's a huge pace up spot against Minnesota. It's a weak Minnesota defense. Everything just I think Washington's pretty clearly underpriced here and a really, really good value. Beyond that, there's nothing that stands out from Charlotte. I think that Terry Rozier at 6,100 on DraftKings and 5,800 on FanDuel is perfectly fine. I expect 35, 36 minutes from him. Devontae Graham is more expensive than I would like. His usage has come down. His production's come down. So, nothing that I'm really interested in there. Miles Bridges price tag's up to 6,200 on DraftKings, which even though his usage has gone up, it makes him pretty tough to get to on this slate, I think. Malik Monk I would throw into the same category as Malik Beasley, where they're basically the same price point. Monk probably plays around 28 minutes. Beasley probably plays around 32. If they get hot, they can be good for their price tag, but I think that they're pretty correctly priced. The only guy that I really see as mispriced on Charlotte is Washington.
Me too. And that's why he's the one guy that I'm more than willing to get to. On FanDuel, Devontae Graham is weighing in at 6,800. Terry Rozier, who you mentioned earlier, comparing him to who were we comparing him to earlier? Someone
Reggie Jackson.
Reggie Jackson. Yeah. Rozier is very reasonably priced. I don't hate them. I don't. It is a pace-up spot. But a concern when it comes to Devontae Graham is very simple. Now he's had a couple solid games in a row, but to assume that this guy is an above average shooter on a consistent basis because of what he did through the first month of the season would be it could have very easily been fool's gold. And because he's getting big minutes, he still doesn't crush you, but maybe he's just not that good of a shooter.
Right. And I think that's the most likely outcome because, I'm sure you remember, but, it was one of those where it was the beginning of the season. So everyone has a tendency to just be like, oh, this is normal. This is what he is. But it was there was a lot of, what happened to Devontae Graham? How is he this good?
Right.
So, him coming back down to earth, I'm more inclined to think that he had a really fluky first month or so of the season than that he's in a slump right now.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm with you 100% there. Let's talk about Memphis and Portland. You got the Memphis Grizzlies at home. They opened, I think, at 4.5 points. Now it's 3.5, 235 total, highest on this slate. Meanwhile, the Grizzlies 119.3 implied total is also the highest on the slate. Portland's up there as well, towards the top at 115.8. So with Memphis, it should be a fast-paced game. It should be a high-scoring game against a underwhelming Portland team, second of a back-to-back, but most of them had their minutes cut in half. Nobody played the fourth quarter yesterday outside of a minute or two. Terry Stotts just yanked all of them off the court. But with Memphis, it's a very good spot. The question I have for you, and this is the important thing we have to drill down, is with their price points, is it a good enough spot for us to load up on the Grizzlies?
I wouldn't say load up on them. I think that they're really interesting tournament plays because they're kind of in like that second tier for me, kind of similar to like Julius Randle, where they're not really getting into optimal lineups, but I think that they have massive ceilings and I think that their prices are pretty fair. John Morant's really interesting because if you just look at his playing time recently, he played like 34, 35 minutes against the Wizards last game. But prior to that, you got a bunch of, 28, 31, 27, 27, 27. But the Grizzlies were involved in a ton of blowouts. If you actually look at those games, not many competitive games in there. And then you finally got a competitive game against Washington, and he comes right back and plays 35 minutes. So if this game's competitive, I expect around 34 minutes from Morant. It's a good matchup for him. Portland's a terrible defensive team. They play at a fast enough pace. So I think Morant is a good tournament option because I don't think he should have too much ownership. He's got a high ceiling. Same goes for Valanciunas, who the per minute production has been really strong all season. There's been questions about playing time, but recently you've seen him trend up to where normally he's getting at least around 28 minutes a night. But this is a matchup against Portland where I would expect him to be towards the top of his minutes range because there's no stretch five on Portland. You're expecting around 34 minutes from Hassan Whiteside. He's not pulling Valanciunas out of the paint to where Valanciunas can't defend him and knocking down threes. So it should be really easy for Valanciunas to stay on the floor in the matchup against Whiteside. So I think 30 to 32 minutes from Valanciunas is a pretty solid projection. The opportunity cost certainly comes into play, but there's a lot of upside for him at 7,300. And then you kind of get to more secondary options in guys like Jaren Jackson and Dylan Brooks. I think that Jackson has a favorable matchup, should be defended by Carmelo Anthony, which shouldn't really be an issue. Obviously comes with foul issues, but if he's able to stay on the floor for 30 to 32 minutes, looks like a decent value. Dillon Brooks is a 25 to 26% usage guy, should play around 32 minutes here and should get plenty of open looks against Portland. So I would rank them Valanciunas and Morant, and then kind of a gap to Jackson and Brooks, and then a gap to everyone else.
How about Portland?
Yeah, I think it's a good bounce back spot as far as pace goes. Memphis is one of the fastest teams in the league. They've been surprisingly good defensively recently. Over the last month, the only team with a better defensive rating than Memphis is the Milwaukee Bucks. They've been particularly good defending around the rim, defending within 6 feet of the basket. They've been the second best team. Defending against three-pointers, they haven't been as good. They haven't been bad, but the pace is what really stands out to me. Lillard, I think, is fine. I do prefer Trey Young. I prefer Karl Anthony Towns. I prefer Luka Doncic, assuming he plays. So I don't think I'll get to tons of Lillard at what I still think is a little bit more expensive of a price point than it should be. But it's another pace-off spot for him. Whiteside's the guy that really stands out. Only 8,400 on DraftKings, playing around 34 minutes in competitive games consistently, if not more. And he's been about a 1.3 DraftKings point per minute guy this year. So there should be plenty of rebounding opportunities in a fast-paced game. He, shouldn't really have any issues here, I don't think. So he's one of, I think, the top center options.
Let's keep it moving here because I want to get through all these games and turn it over to the fellas doing live before lock. Dallas, Sacramento. The team I mentioned earlier that prices came up with a guy coming back from injury was Dallas. 8.5 point favorites, 225.5 total. Luka Doncic, honestly, I think I differ from most people on this, that I don't think he's going to be limited unless there's word that he will be. And the reason I don't think he's going to be limited is there's talk of he wants to play in the All-Star game. If that's the case, I hardly doubt Rick Carlisle's dumb enough to bring him back for the All-Star game, a game before it when he could have sat out the entire time and gotten healthy. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that he's at 100% tonight against Sacramento, or why the hell would he have returned?
Yeah, you and I are on the same page. I was talking about it with people in Slack earlier, and there's a couple of things here. So first of all, we have Luka going through a full contact practice yesterday, saying that he's good to go, and he's still listed as questionable. But if we operate under the assumption that he is good to go, I don't expect him to be limited either. The last time he was injured this year, he missed 4 games, but it was a little shy of 2 weeks. He came back, played 33 minutes in his first game back, which is pretty close to what he normally plays. Now you're looking at right around 2 weeks since the last time he played. So a similar amount of time has passed. It was a right ankle sprain. It's not like it was a knee injury. It's not like it was something where you expect or that he really runs a risk of re-injury outside of another ankle sprain. In a separate event. It's not like he's going to play and his ankle sprain is going to get worse, most likely. So, and then what you said, it's one game until the All-Star break. If he's not at 100%, it would be really weird to just be like, okay, well, we're just going to play you 28 minutes to.
Right. Why even play him? Exactly.
Right. Yeah. 28 minutes to, slowly bring you back. And then we're going to let you sit for a week and then
exactly.
Come back again.
It makes no sense.
Right. So if he goes, I assume he's a full go. His salary is really cheap. 10.9 on DraftKings is a really good salary. On FanDuel, he is 9,700, which is absolutely absurd. If he played 28 minutes, he would be a good play at 9,700, I think. So, really, really easy play on FanDuel, assuming that assuming you're willing, in the case of FanDuel, to take the risk that he does play. But I think that I have him as the highest projected guy on the slate. I think that it's close in terms of him, Towns, Young in that 10-4 plus range on DraftKings. You could throw Lillard in there too, but I have him behind all 3 of them. But I do think that Doncic is a really strong option, assuming he's good to go.
Yeah, and you know what isn't close? The ownership. Karl Anthony Towns is projected at 18% on DraftKings. Not outlandish, but Trey Young is at 15%, and Luka Doncic is at 4%. So
right, and it's. I would think that in the ownership update before lock, it comes up a little bit, but at the same time, people are going to want to play Towns. They're going to want to play Young. We know that those guys are playing. There's no risk of being screwed later in the night when they're just like, yeah, just kidding, we're going to hold him out. So it should keep the ownership in check, and it does make him a really appealing option.
Okay. That's all I have for Dallas.
That's pretty much all I have too. Porzingis loses production, loses rebounding, loses usage when Doncic plays. If Doncic were to sit, then Porzingis is a priority, I think. But assuming Doncic plays, Porzingis doesn't really grade out all that well relative to other players on the slate. And then nobody else looks good at all if Doncic is in.
What about the Sacramento Kings, Adam?
I think that Fox looks reasonable.
Oh, Mike, there it is. I told you something was going to happen. Did I not tell you something was going to happen that was going to fuck up the entire slate? I called that.
There it is.
It's easy to call it when there's 22 teams on the slate.
Right, yeah.
Still.
Yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns, out.
All right.
Oh, man. Well, there you have it, dude.
Yeah, so...
No Gorgie Jang anymore.
Right. So like it should be Naz Reid. James Johnson should probably get some center minutes.
Yeah, he probably will.
Is Spellman active?
Spellman should play, yeah. Oh no, G League.
Okay, so no Spellman.
Naz Reid.
Yeah, it's got to be like Naz Reid and James Johnson.
I wouldn't be shocked if James Johnson ends up starting at the 5. Let's move on because we don't have a lot of time, but obviously a huge situation here to pay attention to and look out for starting lineups. Minnesota lock in that game, or that game tips off at 8:00. What are you doing with the Kings?
Yeah, I think so. From Sacramento, Fox looks like the most appealing play. The problem is that he's basically the same price point as Eric Bledsoe and Spencer Dinwiddie, so it's tough to prioritize him over those guys. But I have him at like 40 DraftKings points, which is a little bit behind them, but still a good value at his salary. Hield and Bielitsa's price tags have come up a bit to where I don't find them all that appealing here. Bogdanovich has been playing big minutes, but he really loses out on production when he plays alongside De'Aaron Fox. Since joining the starting lineup, only a 19.2% usage percentage. So nothing that I'm too excited about there.
Okay. Thanks for that super chat, Anthony. Let's close this out with a few more here. Utah and Miami. I talked to Sal this morning. He said he thought that this game could be sneaky. I'm probably not getting to a ton of it. Maybe you share similar opinions as he does. As of now, however, it's probably a game that I don't get to that much unless some solid price tags reel me in. But it's got a 216 total. Both teams with pretty low implied totals here. Jazz laying 4.5 points at home. Two good squads. Miami's on a long road trip. That's one thing that's worth noting. This will be their 5th game on a West Coast road trip. Clippers, Kings, Blazers, Warriors, now Utah. So this could be a situation where they are beat up and tired. But ultimately, I don't know how much I have of this. What about you?
No, same boat. 2 bottom 10 teams in pace over the last month. Jimmy Butler back for Miami, so that takes, Tyler Hero's still out, but Butler being back takes away some of the usage bumps that you were getting for guys, and their price tags have come up a little bit. So I don't really see anything from Miami. On the Utah side, a little bit more interesting because Mike Conley is out. I think that you have the potential for like 30 to 32 minutes from Jordan Clarkson, who since joining Utah has a 25% usage rate, only 5,300. Still not a very appealing matchup for him. So it's still just kind of a secondary option for me. Same goes for Gobert and Mitchell. I think that Gobert and Mitchell are a little cheap for their ceilings, but it's just still really hard for me to put Donovan Mitchell ahead of guys like De'Aaron Fox, Spencer Dinwiddie, Eric Bledsoe at similar price points. It's tough for me to get to Gobert over so many of the other center options that we talked about.
That's where I'm at as well. By the way, just in terms of Minnesota, it's not just the price point, or it's not just the center options. You have to look at this. Zoom out, take a 30,000 foot view at this one. Without Towns, D'Angelo Russell is going to soak up an immense amount of usage. It helps Beasley as well. So it's not just the center position that is going to open up now because of this, Adam.
Yeah, tons more usage to go around, more rebounding to go around, more minutes, for guys like Reed and probably James Johnson, like we said. But yeah, you're basically back to D'Angelo Russell's rates when he was on Golden State without Steph Curry, when Curry was out. So you should be getting like 33% usage from him, which will make him really appealing. You should see a bump from Malik Beasley as well, like you said.
Premium sub. I want to answer this real quick because we got two here. DA24 says Bledsoe or Russell on draft.
I haven't re-projected everything, but I assume I get to more Russell now.
Okay. I still like both. Play them both in the same lineup if you want. They're perfectly fine. Phoenix, Golden State. Phoenix Suns, big-time favorites here at home, going up against just a completely depleted Golden State Warriors squad. 227.5 total. They're 7.5-point favorites at home. I love Devin Booker today. And you know what? I know that Diallo's prices come up, and I know that they brought Jonah Bolden in, but Diallo was on pace to play 44 minutes had it not been for that blowout. Even with Bolden, I still think Diallo plays probably 35 minutes. And the reason I say this, I want to turn this over to you, but the reason I say this is Tariq Owens was still on the roster. He was still active, and Monty Williams didn't bring him in until the final 5 minutes of that game when it was completely out of reach. So I'm banking on Diallo still getting a lot of run.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was almost kind of glad that they signed Bolden because I didn't want to project Diallo for 40 plus minutes.
Exactly.
But I still have him at 36 for the reason you just said. They had Owens. They could have played him if they wanted to. And now they just grabbed Jonah Bolden, and I'd be surprised if Bolden played more than something like 12 minutes or something like that. The only thing that does concern me is that Golden State's not a big team, and Phoenix does have their wings back. Like Cameron Johnson's back, Ty Jerome's back. So there are ways.
Storage though.
Right, they still don't have Saric, they still don't have Baines. Like they're still short in the front court. There's just some ways where this could play out where they just say screw it and they play like a Houston Rockets type lineup. But I'm certainly not projecting that. That's not close to what they wanted to do against the Lakers last game. And I don't expect it to be the case here against Golden State, even though they're not as big as the Lakers. So I still think Diallo is a really good value. I'm with you as far as loving Devin Booker, who's playing normally 37, 38 plus minutes in competitive games. He's become more productive, even alongside Ricky Rubio. As the year has gone on, his usage has come up. His assist percentage is still healthy. Kelly Oubre's usage has come up as well. And there's a little bit more usage to go around without DeAndre Ayton because Diallo's not as high a usage player. So I think Oubre looks really good. I think Booker's one of the best plays on the slate. I think Diallo is a really good value. And then I think that Ricky Rubio and Mikal Bridges are, sort of secondary values as well.
On the other side, any interest? Then I agree with all of that. Any interest on the Golden State Warriors side?
No, not really. It's not that it's a bad matchup against Phoenix, but they played 12 guys last game. Kevon Looney's out tonight, so I expect they play 11 guys this game. There's just not really much to be confident in as far as the rotations for Golden State go. And the players that you would be interested in are priced up. Andrew Wiggins at 7,600 seems pretty mediocre when you compare him to other guys in that price range on the slate. Draymond Green at 6,700 at a power forward position that's stacked with value is tough. Marquise Chris at center is tough to get to. It's just really, really difficult for any of these guys to pop relative to other players on the slate.
All right, we'll hurry this one up, and don't worry, Live Before Lock's coming up next. They'll cover everything. That's Josh Ingham, Chris Spags taking you up to lock at 7 p.m. on this 11-gamer. Denver and the Lakers. I'm just going to let you run with this. There are a couple pieces here, but not that much. Denver Nuggets are 1-point dogs. I'm sorry, now they're 2.5. Wow, that changed. They were. No, you know what? I think they always were, and I just got it wrong. 219.5 total. What are you doing here on both sides?
I think it's the pretty obvious plays here. Like if you get some Jokic or LeBron or Anthony Davis in your lineups, you're probably not doing anything wrong. They're all really high upside guys. But that being said, I like Trey Young more than I like LeBron. We don't have Towns anymore, but I like Luka more than I like LeBron, assuming that Luka's going to play. Same goes for Davis. I like those guys more than him as well. I like Whiteside more than Jokic. I like Drummond more than Jokic. So, still just kind of secondary guys for me. Rajon Rondo's minutes have been up with Alex Caruso essentially being kicked out of the rotation, but his price tag's come up a bit also, and he's still not very good. So, not a particularly appealing DFS game for me.
Appreciate you guys hanging out with us as always. Did you have anything else from this, or you good?
Nope.
Good luck tonight. Stick around. Still giving out tickets to SuperDraft's Monster 40K 10,000 up top contest. It's the biggest they've done. I hope all of you jump in that and win some money tonight. Hopefully one of us takes it down and can brag about it on tomorrow's show. If you like the show, we always appreciate a thumbs up. It's the easiest way to support us, and it really does help us a lot to further along the Awesemo brand. We'll be back with you tomorrow, Thursday's Deeper Dive, a couple days to close out the week. Adam and myself, we'll see you back here tomorrow on the Deeper Dive presented by SuperDraft. SuperDraft.
What's up, guys? We should be starting up now. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Awesemo.com Live Before Lock show. Got ourselves 11 games today, and of course, it wouldn't be a show with me and my co-host right here if we didn't have a little bit of chaos a second before we came on the air. I'm Chris Spags, joined once again for another slate where the Joker rules are applying for everybody. Mr. Josh Engman, how you doing, Josh?
I am quite good. It's impossible for us to do a show where like something ridiculous doesn't happen. At least it happened at 5:50 whatever and not 6:50 whatever like it normally does.
Yeah, this would have been terrible to have at the end of the show, but some important news. Karl-Anthony Towns ruled out. Also just came through. Serge Ibaka ruled in. So those are two important news items. We will talk about all of them throughout the show, talk about all the ramifications, because Josh right now is doing his crunches, seeing where everything lands with all the news that we have out there. But right now, guys, hit the like button and really do it for us today, because we got a special deal for you thanks to our partners over at SuperDraft. Not only are we doing the extra half hour for the SuperDraft show, just really a post show more than anything. We're talking about SuperDraft on there, taking things a little more casual. We do our daddy likes all that. That'll be in the back half here after the main slates on the other sites lock. But right now, SuperDraft is offering you two big things today. First of all, their biggest tournament ever with $10K up top to first place is going on right now. It's a lot of money up top there. Their biggest tournament ever, as I mentioned. And they're also offering you a special deal right now where if you use the promo code AWESEMO10 when you sign up, that's AWESEMO10. When you do it on the sign up page, you're getting yourself $10 free right away without even a deposit. And then in addition to that, when you do deposit, you get more free money along with it. If you do a deposit of under $100, you're getting yourself $20. If you do one more than $100, you're getting yourself $30 free. So a lot of free money to go to you right now at SuperDraft. And again, a gigantic tournament, which we'll be basically giving you lineups for at the end of the show. So go right now to superdraft.io and sign up using the promo code AWESEMO10, AWESEMO10 to get yourself those deposit bonuses right now. $10 free. No deposit needed to sign up with that. We also have a deal going on right now in our chat. It's a big super draft day here. We're trying to help them fill this big tournament. Again, the biggest tournament ever. So right now, if you check the chat throughout the show, our social media guys, I think Brett is in there right now. They'll be giving you all these trivia questions during the chat right now on YouTube. If you go in there, you can win a ticket to their big tournament as well. So freebies, big prizes up top. We got Josh here. Josh has been doing all the research on Super Draft and how to win. And I guess I've kind of done the shilling as much as I can, Josh, but give the people the TLDR of why they should be playing on Super Draft.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, this is the best contest that they've ever put on. 2, you should expect softer competition. 3, I think that by using the information associated with Awesemo.com, you will have a leg up on the rest of the people entering that contest. It's a new method. It's a new scheme. I don't mean scheme in a negative way. I mean scheme like...
it's a pyramid scheme. That's what we're promoting.
No, that is not what I mean at all. You guys know what I mean. Anytime something is new, there's going to be at least a mild edge to it if you can get there early. And I think this is the perfect time to do it in this particular contest where they've got a massive amount at the top for them. I'm really anxious to see where we get in terms of I really want to see this thing fill. Although for the people that are in it, I'm sure they really don't. But 10K to first is outstanding. 40K guaranteed. There's still 2,100 spots to go, so you still have plenty of time to get in, but you should get in right now, especially with the deal that we're running.
Yeah, again, it's a really good deal. Sign up now. Back half of the show, that half hour right after all the other sites lock, we're going to be doing a super draft only show. We're basically to spoon feed you a lineup. And obviously you can pivot from there. We're going to talk about how to pivot because it's a gigantic slate, lots of ways to do that. But go right now, superdraft.io. Make sure to use that promo code Awesemo10 when you do sign up, whether it's on the app or at superdraft.io. All right, Josh, we got lots to talk about here. And I'm curious your thoughts. We kind of talked about it a second before we came on the air, but I want your full thoughts now that we're on the air. Naz Reid, to me, been a monster on the year whenever he's seen court time. Kind of a similar game to Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, as much as a bench player can be, who we probably didn't know before the year. Big body, does like shooting some threes, been a 1.2 fantasy point per minute guy this year. Should be getting the start here, or at least getting a big boost in minutes. Is he now one of your core plays? Is he a guy that you want a lot? Is James Johnson the guy you want now? How are you feeling about the Minnesota situation?
I greatly prefer James Johnson. I think that's a much more safe method. He's been playing minutes regardless. I think that they can bump him to the 5, no problem. Over the past 30 days, Naz Reid has never played more than 18 minutes, so I don't get the sense that they're just going to run him out there for 28 at center. They can, at which point you're going to want to have him, and you're still going to want to have him. It's tricky. They just don't have enough. Amari Spellman is with the G League. They don't have a lot of big bodies. Like, they can approximate guys at center with Jared Vanderbilt potentially. Juancho at the 5 could be like a really ridiculous thing that happens against Charlotte, depending on who is at center. I expect James Johnson to be the biggest benefactor, but watching ownership will be key for this one.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm probably a little more bullish on Naz Reid than you because I mentioned to Josh before he came on the air. I did have him already in some lineups, even without.
Can we talk about that for a second? How in the world did you have that on an 11-game slate? A backup center that plays 12 minutes a game.
Because of the ownership going to Towns, plus the fact that Reid's been his direct backup and he's been a high per minute guy, just made him pop up I think we had him for 15 minutes in Osmo's run before the most recent one. So he was just bubbling up, and some lineups where I didn't have Towns, I was like, all right, I'll take Reid here. He was still projecting well because of all the other higher price guys out there that do have a lot of upside. He was still within a 10-point range of my optimum lineup. So I was there, and I was just trying to get leverage on the field if Towns did get in foul trouble or, the litany of ways that a guy can go south. Not a lot, but yeah, I'm now going to have a lot because I just think he's a good player and I think he's in a really nice spot.
I have a feeling that I'll be under the field pretty significantly, but I haven't run a crunch yet, so I don't even know if that's going to be true.
Yeah, well, we'll see where the ownership goes because it is certainly a thing where if Reid is the chalk, it definitely will make James Johnson, who earlier in the day looked like he'd be the chalk play on the day or one of the chalk value plays. Now that is not the case with some of the other guys that we've opened up. I guess let's come through some of these other guys or talk through some of these other guys because a guy like Check Diallo when starting the day, and I think on FanDuel, it's still probably the case, in a really good spot, really nice price on there. His DraftKings price pretty much exactly in line with Larry Nance. 2 guys who were getting a start. Because of the way the site's pricings work, I think we have to kind of talk about them as much as we can. So, Josh, tell me what you think about Nance versus Diallo, and is it a different question on FanDuel than DraftKings? Because I think on DraftKings, I still like both guys, but on FanDuel, like Diallo to me would be a play I would almost want to lock in.
Yeah, Check Diallo on FanDuel is a lock. No-brainer cash option. I'm going to have, if he really does come in at 41% ownership, and we had him at 90 earlier, 90 is more correct to me. So, there's nothing to discuss about Check Diallo on FanDuel. That one's just easy. On DraftKings, I still like him quite a bit. He's still like one of my top 3 plays on DK. I would expect Cheikh Diallo to be the guy that I own the most across the entire slate.
Okay, yeah. So, Diallo just looks like a strong play. The deeper dive guys mentioned it, and a little bit of a different situation going against the Lakers, where they have so much size, both in the starters and the bench unit. But he was on track to play over 40 minutes in that game. Even with them bringing in Jonah Bolden, I don't think you could throw him in for 20 minutes today. Even if you did, we're still talking probably around 30 minutes for Diallo, and that's been a pretty good spot for him. He's a good per minute guy overall. In a matchup as well that should give him some upside. So I'm still on Diallo on DraftKings. I think, there's a lot of guys in this 5K-ish price range, like Dedmon also picking up the start. I think kind of a compelling play. They need his size against Andre Drummond. There's a lot of guys to go at the 5K range. Marquise Chris as well, a dude that I like. If you had to prioritize all these guys in that range on DraftKings, Larry Nance is included, who would you prioritize amongst the 5K-ish guys? And throw in Naz Reid and James Johnson as well, because only so many power forward and center spots to go around.
Let me refresh my target score on DK. I'm like 10 seconds away from having that, but it's going to make a difference to everything that I'm looking at. All right, 370. Yeah, because it went up an additional 5 points since the Towns news. So right now I have weighted salary like $3,000 off of where it should be, and that makes everybody else look wrong. So 370, we're in. Okay, refresh. So I've got James Johnson as my best play on DK at 3,500. Cheikh Diallo second. Then Dwayne Dedmon, then Malik Beasley. Of all of like the sort of value-ish guys. Don't get the sense that I'm going to have a ton of Larry Nance, but I will have Larry Nance.
Is the reason why you're not going to have Nance because of Drummond being in there, just being kind of more of a black hole of rebounding and usage?
I just don't know how many additional minutes Nance is really going to see. He's been more of I get a big boost from the center being out than from Kevin Love being out. So I have him at 25 minutes, 26 minutes. I think that's where Alex has him as well. I don't think it's the crazy spot for him. Andre Drummond is going to dominate the boards even more so than Tristan Thompson normally does. So I'm not entirely sure that it becomes like a great spot. It's not like Larry Nance is some knockdown shooter. It's all really going to depend on where the ownership ends up, though. Oh, we do have.
We got a question here.
I didn't realize we had updated ownership.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just didn't realize we had updated ownership.
Oh yeah. Okay, good. So yeah, let me grab that too. We got a question here in the premium Slack, which I want to throw into this conversation because DA24 asking about 2 other guys who were also in the mix earlier in the day. One guy I was pretty much trying to get away from as much as possible, and PJ Washington is at a nice price on DraftKings, but one of those guys who just can kind of disappear into the embers in a variety of ways. So I wasn't too into that. DA24 is asking, how do you feel about PJ Washington and Zeller? Do these guys still rate for you, or are they now out of the picture because of all the other guys that have opened up?
I don't think that Zeller was ever a play. PJ Washington, I assume that I will still have. He was popping up quite a bit earlier. It's going to shift, obviously. I think that he's the best option on DraftKings right now from the Hornets. Don't really have much interest in him on FanDuel, but on DK, he is very much in play.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, PJ Washington, I think the price on him certainly does work, but just one of those guys where the usage isn't that high for him, still under a 20% usage rate on the year. He doesn't really rebound terribly well or efficiently. The minutes will be there in a pace up spot against Minnesota, but Charlotte does tend to play a little bit down in pace, even when they have those pace up spots. I just think Washington's one of those guys. Like, I love Chandler Hutchinson yesterday too. And I think those are kind of 2 similar plays, on that smaller slate. I was willing to get to Hutchinson more. But a dude who, if he hits his shots, if it's going well, if he goes 7 for 10, you're having a good day. If he goes 4 for 10, you're then like, I'm just a little bit short of where I need to be. And that's kind of how I feel about PJ. So that's one I wanted to make sure to touch on. Anybody else value-wise you're getting who's weird as maybe a pivot to these, or are you just taking it all at face value with the guys that we talked about?
I'm just trying to look through. I'm probably going to get more Malik Monk than the public. Don't really have anybody else. It seems to be, pretty cut and dry. I expect the ownership to be a little bit more extreme than we're showing now as we get in like their next run of ownership and it starts to stabilize. Because obviously, like, pretty much anybody out there is going off of at best some guesses. So we kind of need to like calibrate everybody's brains first because nobody has a clue what's going to happen in Minnesota. James Johnson can start. Naz Reid could start. Like, I obviously like Naz Reid a lot more than I do right now if he starts today. I don't know if he's going to start.
Right. We don't want, I mean, we talked about this the other day with Chris Boucher, and that ended up a situation where I think, people talked about watching it on the live stream, and you could see the blood coming out of our faces retrospectively rather, as he, as that news came in that he wasn't going to get the start. We still thought the minutes would be there. Sometimes it doesn't go that way. My Roomba's not charging correctly and felt the need to yell at me about that.
Mine was yelling at me yesterday, and it was docked. I was like, what are you talking about, Roomba?
Like, my guy's on the dock, but it's just flashing a red light and just sporadically goes,
Error.
Roomba not charging correctly, like in a panic. Like, relax, Roomba. I don't like this AI shit. The Roomba's here berating me. But yeah, I think, Naz Reid, if he starts, I think he's, to me, going to feel a lot better of a play. But I'm still willing to get there. And if I get Boucher again, then so help me God.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's in play one way or the other. I think they're going to need to give him enough minutes that, like, he could get to 18 and not be absolute death to your lineup. But if he ends up starting, like, James Johnson can also still be a really good play, and then Naz Reid becomes firmed up.
Yep. Okay. That seems fair. So we'll keep an eye on all the lineups. If anything comes through, it's a 5 p.m. game, West Coast time, 8 p.m. East Coast time. So may not be something where we get the news in time for the show, but as soon as we get it, you'll know. It'll probably come during the SuperDraft show, and we'll find out that, I don't even know, Jordan McLaughlin starting at center. It'll work out because
James Johnson is starting.
Oh, okay. But Naz Reid is not.
I would imagine I don't know why he would be. I don't know who he'd be starting for in that scenario.
Oh, it's he's starting 4-10. Oh, my bad. Okay. I thought you got the full lineup, but I just saw the alert there.
Yeah, Johnson's starting. So be more pessimistic about Naz Reid, but still certainly in play. We have no concept of how much Ryan Saunders is willing to play James Johnson at the 5. Whether that's, 2 rotations and it's a lot of Naz Reid, or he's going to play 30 minutes at the 5. Naz Reid plays 18. Juancho Hernangomez plays 34 minutes at the 4. Possible.
Yeah. Yeah, Johnson and Juancho, I mean, Johnson was the direct backup. Then they closed together in that last game for Juancho. So certainly some ways here. And Naz going to get a lot of unencumbered usage in that second group with a pretty good assist man in the aforementioned Jordan McLaughlin. So, I think there's, oh boy, it's going to be a lot to figure out over the course of this hour. So we talked about a lot of the value guys, and we'll keep talking about them as we go, and we'll keep an eye on the questions. Actually, one question just worth hitting on. Would you be willing to play Reid and Johnson together in the same lineup, especially now that we know they are going to be probably staggered fairly well minutes-wise?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I mean, there's some ways they could close together. Like Johnson just takes Juancho's spot.
I can't imagine they're looking for Naz Reid to close, but not start him.
Fair point. All right. So
it's
want to
Minnesota. Like, pretty much everybody on the team sucks. So they're just rotating through a bunch of guys that suck.
Fair point. Does that affect your interest, by the way, in D'Angelo Russell or Malik Beasley? 2 guys who've shown they really do like to soak up usage when they're to go around. And Russell in particular, a price point pivot to a guy, Devin Booker, I feel like will be pretty owned today. He's actually fairly highly owned in our most recent run of ownership.
I mean, they both look way, way better than they did earlier. We know what D'Angelo Russell likes to do when he's on a team of guys that are barely NBA players. So we saw that already for most of this season. It should look pretty similar. And Malik Beasley's minutes are certainly more secure now. And just freeing up Karl Anthony Towns' usage is a massive boon for someone like Beasley. So I like both of those guys.
All right, so we've talked about some of the these machinations going on. We should talk also about Milwaukee, because they are, to me, the biggest example of the pricing differences on the sites. On FanDuel, I would have a lot of Bledsoe and Middleton. On DraftKings, you kind of have to squint your eyes to make it happen. Neither guy going to be terribly highly owned today. Even with the value opening up, it looks like neither guy took a big jump. Middleton still projects well. Bledsoe still projects well. Both guys over 1.5 fantasy points per minute. Tougher matchup against Indiana, but still one where these guys get all the usage, they get all the opportunity. How are you handling Middleton and FanDuel, and then how would you handle them on DraftKings where they're much higher priced?
Yeah, it's a tale of two sites. Honestly, Eric Bledsoe is my number 2 player on FanDuel. Chris Middleton is number 8, so they are both top 10 guys. I like Bledsoe on DraftKings at 7,700. I have very little interest in Chris Middleton at 8,800. He's good, but that is more than appropriately priced. If I don't win a GPP because I don't have Chris Middleton on DraftKings, so be it.
Yeah, I mean, he's had the ceiling. He's certainly been able to get there. Had just shy of 60 fantasy points in a day where he shot pretty poorly against Sacramento, and he's been murdering the ball this year. I mean, I guess we say that more for baseball, but just on a real efficiency from 3 and from the floor. Tougher matchup against Indiana. I do think still I don't really mind Middleton. I'm going to be above the field at 10%. I just still think he's a strong enough play, and I know the upsides there. We've seen it enough times, but definitely an adverse condition spot. I think at this point, though, certainly more of a tournament play on DraftKings than a cash play by any stretch, because these guys are not going to be really well owned on DraftKings at all. I'll still have the trivia questions going on right now in the YouTube chat. So again, pay attention there. We're giving away a bunch of tickets. I think we had 10 left for the SuperDraft Big Contest today. As we mentioned earlier, right now there's a special deal for SuperDraft going on, where if you use the promo code AWESEMO10, that's AWESEMO10, when you sign up for SuperDraft, you can get yourself $10 free without having a deposit required. Then if you deposit $100, you're getting yourself $30. Under 100, you're getting yourself 20. So the best deal we've had, that goes up right along with their big contest with 10K up top. Their big tournament on there, the jump shot, pretty far from filled as well. About 2,000 entries left in there. So go sign up right now, then 10 to the rest of your lineups. But do it, superdraft.io. Use the promo code AWESEMO10 to get a part of their biggest contest ever, with $10,000 up top to the first place winner. Let's see here. See if there's any good questions for the premium Slack. So I want to ask you who the guys you are paying up for today with all the savings we have, but I'll throw out first one guy that I am willing to pay up for today a little bit actually more than a little bit, is Devontae Graham. So I'm a Devontae Graham fan, and I'm probably heavily affected by him having some good runs at the beginning of the year. And we talked about him on the show where he's been so far in 2020. The last couple games, though, they started to segment his minutes away from Malik Monk and Terry Rozier. There's also some don't slack me more promos. In fact, we're doing enough promo-wise. But we are seeing a lot more run for Devontae Graham by himself. Also, a lot more possessions for him as the lead ball handler, with 200 possessions in his last 3 games, which are the most on the team. Jumped out to me. He's got a 45% assist rate in the last few games. I think Graham's kind of a sneaky play in this spot. Defense getting even worse by the minute for Minnesota because of both adding Russell and no Towns in there. How are you feeling about Graham and the Charlotte guys? I know Terry Rozier was somebody who was popping for you earlier in a Contenders video, but how are you feeling about the Charlotte backcourt?
Yeah, I prefer Rozier to Graham just because of the dramatic drop in price between the two. PJ Washington on the radar. Malik Monk is the guy that I'm probably most over the field on because he is essentially unowned. Graham, I will have nothing more than probably 10%.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm a little more of a believer in Graham. I do think seeing him get some more times by himself are going to be a bit more appealing. But, I think to me, Graham is a guy I'm willing to take a stab at. Another guy at the same price point, I also think gives you upside and going to be overlooked. Ja Morant had his first triple-double in the NBA last game. I think the spot against Portland's a really strong one. Morant is, I guess, this middle class of point guards. Are you getting these guys at all? Ricky Rubio still cheap. Are you getting these guys? Because you mentioned Graham, not a lot. Rozier, maybe a little bit more. But Morant, are these guys popping for you at all?
Not really. I'm just trying to scan the list. Colin Sexton, a guy that I'm getting a little bit of, which is never fun. I probably have more Donovan Mitchell than the public, which doesn't make me upset.
Donovan Mitchell, really? Okay. Just because no Conley in there gets a bit of a boost, and the price works, I guess.
Actually, just sort of in general. I was getting him before the Conley news. I guess I'm a big fan of Donovan Mitchell today.
What?
Ron Burgundy.
I don't know why people feel the need, DMing during the show, not people we work with, but Bogey, I appreciate you in the premium Slack, but DMing me during the show, generally not the way to get the help you need. Appreciate you, buddy. Super chat, though, is a way to get the help you need. David Plaveski saying, Spags, how much do you need to win tonight for Pigtails? It's more of a feel thing now, and Friday shows are the Pigtail day, but no Friday show this week for Live Before Lock. So you must be sad inside, Josh, not getting my Pigtails this week.
I have not been less sad about something in my life.
I think you were overjoyed when you see my pigtails. They mean good luck for everybody.
Nope.
But yeah, it was too many notifications going on. I'll give one for our boy Rin Pack. By the way, we are doing our biggest giveaway ever. Too many promos today, guys. I apologize. I know we're trying to get through them as fast as we can. But it is before the All-Star break, so take advantage of our biggest giveaway ever. We're at about the 2-year anniversary of Awesemo.com. I've been here for 2 years, Josh a little bit less than that. We've been here from the ground floor, and we're giving back to you guys in honor of our 3rd year coming up, the biggest giveaway ever. So check the pin tweet on @Awesemo_com. It's a simple guessing game there for the Lakers and Nuggets game tonight. But again, lots of giveaways, lots of promos tonight. Just go check that out right now to make our boy Rin Pack happy. Because everybody's got their initiatives that we got to fulfill here.
Let's see. Let's find out when I first reached out to Tom.
I think it was like a month after I did, because I know I started like beginning of March as a consultant, and then I think you were coming through like a week after.
February 27th. I sent an email when Tom put up an application that they were looking for someone, and I emailed in an hour after they posted it. Quit my job like 3 days later.
I had also spoken with them that same time, and then I think actually I mentioned you because that was when I was watching your YouTube live stream, and it was like, this guy Josh seems good.
Yeah, you and I started talking, and we slid in each other's DMs.
Yeah, lots of sexy photos going back and forth with Josh and my courtship. That's why we're the pals that we are now.
Yeah.
Emac now wants his promo. Screw you, Emac. You're not getting anything today. Though he and Fast City Fear will be doing some All-Star break content. So subscribe, hit the notification bell to know when they go live, and do that before my brain bleeds from everybody needing promos today. So we got a super draft. That's the one I care about.
Super draft.
I like that. I think we do need to come up with some sort of song. Perhaps during the last half hour of the show, we can do that.
Oh, that's been happening with Laffy and I. That is Laffy's gimmick. I am mildly stealing it. I will be honest.
Laffy does a good job coming up with the fun wrinkles between being a baller, between singing things. He's got to entertain himself, and I respect that about Laffy the most. Who are you getting as a pay-up option? We got all this value. Obviously, we talked through a lot of it, talked about the ones you're over the field on. We'll keep talking about it. But who is the pay-up option you're getting the most of, or the handful of guys you're getting the most of with all this money you have to go around?
LeBron on FanDuel, Lillard on FanDuel. On DraftKings, I'm still running the crunch, so I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
What I knew before is no longer like real, so I have no idea what it's going to look like any longer.
Josh will update you guys as his crunch has come through. Obviously, a lot of data moving around here, which I'm trying to keep track of as best I can as well. See if there's any news coming either, because that seems, I swear to God, if there's any more news, if there's somebody important, Devin Booker's out today, I'm just going to throw in the towel. Just going to sit here and drink White Claws while you talk.
Yeah, that would not be good for me.
We got
you sitting there not doing anything for drinking White Claws and for Devin Booker being out. Both of those things would not be beneficial to me.
No, I've Devin Booker's out. I can tell you right now, I would just be like, all right, I'm done for the day. Like this is just it. He is one of my pay-up options. Trey Young, a guy who I feel like Adam has done a good job extolling the virtues of today on the deeper dive and the deep dive column. Playing against a Cleveland team who sucks in the pick and roll. He's also at a price to me. Like he just projects obscenely well for me. I'm in on Trey. I'm trying to think who else. Andre Drummond, I would like to pay for, but now with all the value at forward and center, I got to him a little bit less than I would like. He looked under-owned to me when Towns was in. Now that Towns is out, I think that ownership will probably come his way a little bit. How are you feeling about Trey and Andre Drummond, both these guys in this game against Cleveland, which does have the highest combined total on the slate, 234.5 points?
Drummond, I don't have much of. I've got like 20% Trey on FanDuel. My DraftKings crunch hasn't been running because I never clicked go. So there's that. But that should go relatively quickly. I don't have much Drummond on FanDuel as of right now. That much I can say for certain. I'm more paying down at center. So Dedmond, Brook Lopez, a little bit of Marquise Chris. I have way too much Rudy Gobert, it appears. I'll go ahead and take a peek at that bad boy. All right, so Rudy Gobert, 41.5 divided by 34 is 1.22. He's been at 1.23. Okay, I'm not as mad about that. So go Rudy Gobert.
Certainly a way to get different when everybody's getting cheaper at the big positions. But yeah, that is something for you for tournaments for sure to pivot away, take some of the higher price guys. That to me is also why Drummond, I think, has some appeal. Shout out Jack Perry for the super chat because ketchup and eggs are amazing, he says. I'm sure you have some thoughts about that.
Yeah, my thoughts are that is untrue.
I agree with you, Jack Perry, and I support your right to put whatever you want on your eggs. If you wanted to put the blood of an innocent on your eggs, I'd be like, sure, whatever makes you happy, because eggs are just a vessel for other things primarily. William Fields, good to have y'all back, fellas. I think James Johnson is a clear play, but can we talk Ja Morant? I guess he's doing the fun Latino version of laughing online. I like Ja Morant. I mentioned it earlier. I think he's going to get that triple-double. The deeper dive guys mentioned it, but one of his first competitive games in a while, going against Portland, a team who doesn't play defense. We kind of saw that yesterday with New Orleans. Now they're on a back-to-back. I think Ja's a very strong play, under 10% projected ownership on DraftKings. You still don't have any Ja at all, right?
I would imagine I don't. I can confirm that in 1 second. Memphis. I doubt that I have any.
People alarmed by me saying put the blood of an innocent on eggs.
Cool, Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier out.
What? Oh, come on. Well, my Devontae Graham got more valuable.
Certainly, my Terry Rozier got less valuable.
So Devontae Graham looking pretty good now, huh?
Not really. Malik Monk is.
All right. Well, I think
Malik
Devontae
Monk
Graham
for sure is.
Yeah, I think both get a lot better because they're like they're kind of like a bootleg version of Oklahoma City, where you have the three guards there. They're all getting similar opportunities. When you can take one out and consolidate that, I think it's a pretty good spot for both of them. So yeah, I think Monk is a pretty strong play, and Devontae Graham I was already on, but I feel even better about it now.
I assume that's not going to change much for me, other than who the hell's going to get all those minutes? This isn't fun. I'm pretty much over this already. That should be no surprise. Yeah, like Devontae Graham. I did not mean to click where I clicked. That's not helpful. All right, okay, I'm not clicking there, Wowie. That's not what's happening here.
I like when the robots rebel against you instead of just my Roomba. But
I do not.
I have to say, for me, Devontae Graham, I mean, I'm sure his ownership will come up now. We got enough time here, but Devontae Graham would be one of my favorite plays on the slate. I think we're now getting to see the thing that I talked about earlier with him getting some staggered minutes, except now he's just going to get that. So I like Devontae
Dwayne
Graham
Bacon season.
It could be Dwayne Bacon season as well. PJ Washington also probably gets a little bit from that too.
I mean, he's already playing 34 minutes a game. He can only get so much more. No, Cody Martin is really big there.
You could stand to shoot a little more than he has. I think when you take those guys off the court, he might be a little more empowered to shoot than the times where he just stands around and watches everybody else. But Miles Bridges too, I would think, gets a little surprised because I wouldn't have thought he was playable before.
He's so bad in real life.
Miles Bridges?
Yeah.
He's the corner three guy, which I always respect. He seems like his career outcome is to be like a 3-and-D guy of some quality.
Yeah, he's not of any of those things. I believe in player impact plus minus. So there are 30 times 12. No, 30 times 15. So there are 450 guys that are not on two-way contracts in the NBA. And Bridges ranks like 470th in player impact plus minus. I heard that today on Nate Duncan's podcast. Cody Zeller, unlikely to play.
Yeah, I saw that. So Zeller unlikely to play.
Starting.
That's what I was just going to say. Bismack Biyombo's starting. Another piece of value big there. Is Bismack a consideration?
Probably not. I'm just going to give the Cody Zeller minutes straight to Bismack. I didn't have Biyombo in the rotation anyway, so I mean, he's the flat minimum on DraftKings, so I guess.
We knew this was going to happen. We had it's happened every time we've done a show, but Jesus, man, I don't even know where to go. I need the boss man to update all the minutes. Like it's just, so I have an idea.
This is not,
I guess,
an enjoyable experience.
No, the good news too is we get an extra half hour here for SuperDraft, guys. So won't be able to edit our lineups, but we'll be able to help you guys with SuperDraft. There's going to probably be even more of an edge on SuperDraft than there would be otherwise with all these machinations. Probably some guys whose multipliers get a little more appealing as well. And these games, this Hornets game will in fact be on the SuperDraft slate because they are starting at 5 p.m. We usually don't get the Hornets on SuperDraft, but today we will. Today we will. Just get these minutes in here.
I think Dwayne Bacon's going to have to play like a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
like a lot, like enough that he's in play.
But if Martin's starting, would Martin get a bigger minutes boost?
Oh, Caleb Martin?
Yeah, Caleb Martin.
Even still, like I'm going to have like 28 minutes remaining for him, maybe. It's a
good spot.
I mean, it's if only he were any good.
Oh no, Bismack now pops up for me too. Oh no,
we only have 23 minutes, dude. This isn't fun. It's not fun. I don't enjoy it anymore.
It's a tough one. All right, so does that change anything for you? Is this like the situation we had the other day with Nunn and Dragic, where some of the guys opening up changes things? Are any of these Hornets gonna materially impact the other value plays?
Yeah, I mean Charlotte's obviously going to be mildly more interesting than they were before. I don't know who they're going to be playing. Nick Batum hurt. Illness will not suit up for Monday's game. Don't be surprised if something stupid happens and he plays 30 minutes.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways for this to get silly here, but again, I would focus, I think with the other value we have, I personally feel a little better about some of these other value guys. Though Bismack, again, would be to me one of the best value plays if we give him 24 minutes. So yeah, I think Graham gets the big boost here. That's the one I'm going to focus on. I'm going to choose to be positive here and just not worry about these other Hornets right now. But Josh will update you guys as he does his crunches. If anybody pops up with the this late news, Josh, just feel free to chime in and interrupt me. William Fields asking, thank you for the super chat, William. Thoughts on Rubio? I was getting Rubio a lot today. I kind of pared that back, but he's at a good price point. I do think, to me, I worry a little bit more for the situation for Rubio. If Kelly Oubre gets back in that starting lineup, I do think that Rubio is a fine play just with Oubre's usage off the floor. If Oubre is back in there, I would worry a bit. But are you getting any Rubio at all for our boy William Fields?
Probably more than I should, but I usually do.
Yep. Okay. Also, some late breaking super chat news because there's so many things to plug today. If anybody in that tournament right now, the big one up top, if anybody finishes in the top 10 spots in their contest today, SuperDraft is going to send them a swag bag valued at $250. So you are now getting the $10 free when you sign up using the promo code AWESEMO10. You're getting extra money. You get $30 with a deposit of over $100, $20 with a deposit of under $100. And also you have to be following Ricky Stroud, RICKYST. This is too much, guys. Like, just future reference our promo, guys. When there's 10 different conditions and you're giving it last minute, it's a little tough. Have to follow Ricky from SuperDraft on Twitter at Ricky Stroud, RICKYSTROUDE. If you do that and you finish in the top 10 of the tournament, you'll be getting a swag bag. In addition to all the other things which we've mentioned. And again, the SuperDraft half hour will be doing just that at the end of the show. Jesus Christ. All right. I don't even know where to go.
I feel quite similar to you right now.
I guess Luka is a guy we haven't talked about at all. And I know you are historically a Luka fan. We both are. DFS wise, I do tend to go a little bit away from Luka more, but his price is down. He's been out. The expectation is he's returning to his full run of minutes. I don't love Luka today, but I guess with all the money going around, he's certainly a way to go. How are you feeling about Luka? And it is worth noting, he did put up over 70 fantasy points the last time he played Sacramento. Both he and De'Aaron Fox both went at each other pretty hard in that game. I don't mind Luka. I just didn't get there.
I don't expect to have much.
Okay. Yeah. I'd rather get to Trey personally. I do think Trey is at a slightly better price, slightly better situation overall. But Luka's certainly a guy who's probably going to be a little bit overlooked on the slate. Being back in the lineup, we saw some people in the YouTube chat earlier literally asking, is Luka even back? So certainly some ways that Luka could be really underowned today. So I think that's always a bit of upside. But,
I'm not feeling comfortable about not having a lot. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. The stock of corn, we got to follow who, where. Follow at Ricky Stroud, RickYStroude on Twitter. And if you finish in the top 10 on tonight's Super Draft contest, you will win a swag bag worth $250. Because we just simply cannot help ourselves from giving more things away, because that's how much Super Draft values you. And honestly, you should be taking advantage of them. Because they've been giving up a lot of money, both in deposit bonuses and overlay recently. And right now, still about a little under 2,000 entries available in their big tournament today, with, again, $10,000 up top to first place. So go check them out right now at SuperDraft, or by downloading SuperDraft in the App Store. Let's see. All right. Raptors starting who they're starting. Worth noting, the Pistons are not starting Derrick Rose, even though he's back. Starters for the Pistons. I know that news came through, but just a reminder. And as obviously Derrick Rose, probably not a priority for a lot of people. He's back, but not starting. Jackson, Brown, Snell, Wood, and McCurr starting for the Pistons today.
Really enjoyed that take you just gave. Raptors starting who they're starting.
I mean, they're starting.
You don't get those takes anywhere else, everybody.
They are who they thought they were. I don't know, man. I'm brain. I feel like I'm bleeding out of my ears with the shilling and the news and the not being able to fix my lineups.
I need some ownership.
Can we deduct the lineups that we kill on this show off of our taxes? Is that a thing?
I can't. I get a 1099 in the mail, brother.
Yeah, you can deduct that. You still get deductions.
I'm winning. I'm profitable. I can't claim losses.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, fair enough. I
would love to be able to get the income and claim losses at the same time. That would be great. I think I would pay no taxes.
Yeah, good point. I was thinking about it not the correct way, which it is tax season, by the way. I saw our boy Trill Chamberlain on the premium Slack, who won 100K yesterday in the big tournament. So shout out Trill. Tilt, my bad. I'm thinking of somebody else. Tilt Chamberlain. Sorry, I fucked up the shout out. But Tilt Chamberlain had a big win yesterday. Was talking about the tax ramifications in Slack and the wires, and a lot of fun stuff going on in the premium Slack with some of our guys and their hot runs lately.
Yeah. Tilt's the worst.
I like Tilt. I'm a big fan of Tilt.
It just felt more fun to do it like that.
You got to have somebody to hate now that some other people have been apparently run out of town with their bags in hand.
They ran themselves out of town.
Morgan Smith asking, can you rank RJ Barrett, Monk, and Malik Beasley on DK? Barrett would now be the lowest of those three for me.
Yeah, you could throw RJ Barrett in the garbage if you'd like. Monk or Beasley? I would rather have... They are directly next to each other. I would prefer Beasley, but it depends what Malik Monk's ownership jumps up to. I would rather have Malik Monk in a GPP if he continues to be 3% owned. I don't expect that to be.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair take. Stat.
I need a new life. I need the all-star break immediately is what I need with this crap. It's basically like I spent, an hour before the show listening to the deeper dive, making my lineups, hoping that things didn't go sideways. And this has gone the most sideways that any slate I feel like has gone in terms of just changing. Like my lineups, I don't even have any confidence in at all. Even more than usual.
Josh only listens to his Excel sheet. Yeah, it does really well for me.
Yeah, it does. Having a process works. I've spent most of my day yesterday fixing up an Excel sheet for the XFL.
I'm sure Alex is sitting in the back like, I can't be using this crazy Excel spreadsheet to make my $1 million. Some people are just shockingly stupid. That guy, DFS Markey, shockingly stupid.
I do think sometimes you see these guys, and I feel like we get them a lot on our Facebook comments where they're like, yeah, like using, not just building with your brain is cheating. And it's like, no, like I want to be able to see, even if you think optimizing is cheating, which it's very much not, because that's the whole name of the game. But like having information readily presentable and putting in the effort to be able to see your information, that's an important part of the DFS process, I think, across the board.
We see it.
Could just be me, though. Could just be me being
my address.
Old crazy.
My 1099 from FanDuel sitting right next to me. Yeah, I'm glad. The stupid Excel sheet. Awful. Hate having it.
One of those days, guys. There's a trickle-down effect with our sanity.
By the way,
right
where you at, Chinese spy guy? Where you at?
Did he get tired? Did he get tired of it?
I guess.
He's probably the Twitch guy who had the handle and tried to extort us for it. Our boy McCod pointing out PJ Washington, a 53.2% boom rating and Osmo's boom bust tool. Biombo 46.5% boom. So the boom bust tool, apparently a big fan of getting these guys today. Our Trell 59 asking thoughts on Chris for Marquise Chris, not for me. Obviously, your thoughts on me are big thumbs up. For Marquise Chris, I like Marquise Chris a lot. I would probably have less knowing the slate as we know it now, but I'm locked into my Marquise Chris. The minutes have been there for him. Probably need a few more minutes with Kevon Looney also out of the mix. I like Chris quite a bit. Did you get any Marquise Chris today or no?
I had a lot more earlier today than I do right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's how it's gonna go, I guess. Yeah, I still like Chris. I think he's now probably more of a pivot to these other guys who we've talked about at great lengths today. But still, he'll be in my player pools quite a bit, largely because I can't edit every lineup I can possibly while doing the show, but also just because I still think he's a pretty strong play at his price point. Also, I should probably get some Biombo while I can. Looking at your questions now, Zach Roberts asking the question we talked about earlier. How do you feel about Miles Bridges on FanDuel? Josh, you want to give your Miles Bridges take one more time?
He's not very good at basketball.
Okay, that's a fair take.
I mean, he's in play because Charlotte doesn't have bodies, but I'm not like he's probably like my sixth favorite Hornet.
Yeah, I do think Bridges. I think a little more highly of Bridges than I think than obviously it seems like you do. Still like a guy that I wouldn't consider a necessity. His price isn't there. If he were like at PJ Washington's price, which he deservedly shouldn't be at this point, then I'd probably be like, all right, well, that's kind of insanity. But if at his current price point on DraftKings, where he's a little bit over 6K, I believe he's still at. I don't have him in any lineups, so let me just double check that. But yeah, a little bit over 6K still. I don't see the need to get there as much, but he's at a playable level for me. And he's at 1%. Bridges does kind of show up randomly and does have these big games sometimes when you very much least expect him to. So I don't mind that conceptually, even though that is not a play that I'm currently on much. But, I'll put in one Bridges lineup just for prosperity because that's how much I think he's talented. Oh, boy. DKGPP, would you go Kevin Porter Jr. or Josh Okogie for the cheap guys who are probably going to go under the radar today?
Probably Kevin Porter Jr.
Yeah, I would also think that's pretty clearly Kevin Porter Jr. Yeah, I really don't see it even more. Like Porter's going to get a boost from Kevin Love not being in there. Josh Okogie, I mean, he maybe gets a little bit, but there are guys now who could actually handle the load. Whereas Okogie's not getting that run when it was guys like Culver in there taking over the usage. That's not how that's not going to work the same for Josh Okogie today. Is Aaron Gordon a good play today? I have one lineup with him, but I wouldn't say he's a good play by any stretch.
I don't think that I have any at this point. I mean, he might get rotated through as like a 5% guy. But for right now, I don't expect to have much of any.
All right. Any Ersan love tonight? Seems like he's getting overlooked. DA24 asks, I think if you're playing a lineup without Bledsoe and Middleton, or at least one of them, I think Ersan can get there. As DraftKings price, though, I find it hard to get to Ersan. Josh, do you have any Ersan tonight?
No, not really. I will probably have like 10% if I had to guess.
All right.
Just not that kind of play today any longer. Like there's not a lack of value. That's for sure.
We also just got an ownership update, and looks like D'Angelo Russell took a really big jump upwards here, which does make sense. He's the one guy I'm going to be under, and I can't possibly fix during our times. But yeah, Russell now one of the chalkiest plays on the slate. I guess he was on his way up before, but now over 30% on DraftKings. And it looks like James Johnson now number one. So at least Naz Reid isn't chalk if you are going to be playing him at a stupid amount like I am. See, nothing good in the premium Slack. Nope. Anything you're seeing right now in your crunches that we haven't talked about?
I haven't even run a crunch, so I have 9
Probably
minutes.
important.
I have 9 minutes to go, and it's running now for the first time. We just got that ownership update, so
Okay.
Yeah,
Start getting your lineups in. I know there's a lot of, as you can see from me slowly dying in front of your eyes, there's a lot going on here, a lot of machinations going on, but don't forget the important part, which is getting lineups in. That is the one way you are not going to cash at all if you don't get your lineups in. That is an important reminder.
Yeah, I promise you will not cash otherwise. Oh, God.
MKG won't make his Mavs debut Wednesday, so in case anybody was really pinning their hopes on that one, not a situation. Shelton Myers coming in early with the super draft question. Do you separate LeBron and Davis and McCollum and Lillard for super draft? I don't think you have to.
No.
They're independent items for the most part. Whether they're the best plays, you will find out in a short 8-minute window here. But I don't think you need to stagger those guys in your lineups. Would you have any groups for the Charlotte backcourt? Somebody asked, and I missed that one earlier.
I don't think it'll be necessary.
Okay.
If we're talking backcourt, it's Malik Monk and Devontae Graham, and I would not group them to try to stop them from being in the same lineup. So,
yeah, I think that seems pretty fair. Let's see here. Also, have you noticed, by the way, I saw this during Osmo's game plan. You know, we're getting new spam that steals previous chats from other live streams and then asks those questions back.
Yeah, more than aware.
That's
I'm the one that's able to handle all of this right now. I'm banning these sex bots over and over again. You can't just ban them. They change their emojis, and that doesn't work on the ban any longer. So you have to ban parts of their name. Like that last one that I just banned was Rency Sex Live Chat. I had to ban the word Rency.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it's a weird one. It's the AI getting much smarter for spamming you guys, so we're trying to take care of them. But I noticed that during the game plan. I hid one of them during the game plan stream as well. Osmo's premium stream every day. If you want to get a part of that, go to osmo.com/join and use the promo code live before lock. Also, I guess one last, we got a super draft question, or super chat rather, a question right now for super draft from Skylar Bernard asking Ilya Silva or Johnson on super draft, a 1.9x multiplier for both. I really appreciate you, Skylar, spelling that out very easily. I feel like it's got to be Johnson at this point, right?
I can let you know at 7:01.
Skylar, for me right now, it would be Johnson, but we'll circle back on that question the second that we switch over to the Super Draft show. Yeah. Again, the post show here for Live Before Lock can be heavy on Super Draft. We're also just going to be hanging out and talking. This will be Josh and my last show together for about a week or so. So just hang out with us there, and we'll talk about all your Super Draft stuff. And I will make sure, actually, you know what? I'm going to make a note here to circle back on this question. I'll put it in a Google page so I know to ask this question later.
Yeah, I'll be happy to answer it, but this slate is not the slate where I can answer something that can be answered in the final 70 or in the final 30 minutes.
Justin Swearingen giving a super chat. We appreciate you, buddy, for that $20 super chat. Josh, can you review your top plays for FanDuel GPP? Spags used to play FanDuel. Shout out to the premium Slack Rainmaker. I don't play FanDuel because I just don't have the bandwidth to do this for two sites. But Josh, top plays on FanDuel. You're getting your crunches in now. Who are you getting?
Diallo, Bledsoe, Booker, D'Angelo Russell, Trey Young. Dwayne Dedman. Best I could do right now.
All right.
I need to pray that I can get these DraftKings lineups in. Got 5 minutes. I have not even uploaded a dummy crunch. So whatever's coming out of this bad boy is going right back in. FanDuel, I feel pretty good. So that I'll usually get bodied on that one. But the crunch is done. So I've got about 3 minutes worth of tweaks. That's the best I can do right now. I know for a fact some weird name is going to be like 45% owned here. And I'm going to be like, cool.
That is kind of the nature of the beast. Yeah, for me, I really have no read at all on how my lineups are going to go because they could be great if I didn't pivot enough to guys who weren't really strong plays, and they could be absolutely terrible if I did pivot in some lineups and didn't pay close enough attention. So it'll be great fun for the whole family. We'll let you guys know as the games start how we're looking.
Let's get the
Bay Area 415 asking Biyombo or Hernan Gomez on FanDuel. Which would you have more of?
Biyombo. I mean, the answer should be really neither, but Biyombo.
For FanDuel GPP, would you go Bledsoe and Middleton or Trey and DiVincenzo? I would still go Bledsoe and Middleton. Yeah. That's just on FanDuel, just take the price they are. Like, I think for the most part, that's on DraftKings, we talked about it earlier. Certainly some ways to get away, some ways to get different, but on FanDuel, they are still too cheap for their young. And you think FanDuel does that on purpose, or you think they're just lazy with the pricing lately?
I think FanDuel does what on purpose?
Like extremely soft, literally all the time now.
Well, I mean, the Bledsoe Middleton one is different in that DraftKings is quick to do adjustments if someone is going to be out, whereas it's not like we knew Giannis was going to be out. We assumed Giannis was going to be out. They just don't make the jumps on like assumptions. They only do it once it's like firm.
Okay. I guess that's a fair way to look at it.
Most exposed pay up options for me on DraftKings are Trey Young, Damian Lillard, and actually Luka.
Oh, so you did get to Luka. Okay.
I think there's just that much money out there that it's not really a problem. All right, I'm going to run
also,
with
I just
this,
realized I still have some Rozier lineups that I know need to get out. Pacers starting Brogdon, Oladipo, Warren, Sabonis, Turner on Wednesday. Did you get any Oladipo? I'm assuming not on FanDuel, but did you get any on DraftKings?
4%.
You feel good about that number or no?
Yeah,
it's fine by me. Does that feel low?
No, not really. I mean, I just he's just been so bad. And that's a tough game too.
The thing to me is that they're going to make him shoot. Like, I think that's what Milwaukee's going to try to do, is just let him take some shots and prove that he's still got something left. I mean, obviously he does, but I think that's just their defensive approach, is making the guys shoot who they feel like can't shoot.
I mean, if they're going to let him shoot, he's just going to shoot and make it.
I mean, he's really due for positive regression on his shot, shooting under 30% from the floor and from deep so far. With high usage still, it's the same usage as he's had last year. So definitely due for something to break his way eventually. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right.
2 minutes.
All right, last call, guys. Get your lineups in. 2 minutes left. Let's see. Still YouTube spam. This is a time really to sneak in your YouTube spam if you're trying to spam us. It's a good job by that person. For FanDuel GPP, would you go Drummond or Jokic?
FanDuel?
Yep.
I don't really have either guy with any sort of volume. Jokic, I guess. I'm under the field on both.
I would go Drummond just because I do think Drummond's in a good spot. I think, on DraftKings, I thought a lot of the Towns ownership was going to go his way, and I still do think that. But I think overall, there's still some upside for Drummond on FanDuel based on the ownership that he has there, it looks like. Let me just get this crap in. All right. 1 minute left to lock, probably less than that by the time you guys hear that. So make sure you're getting your lineups in if you have not yet. We are in the dying days here of our main slate lineup, so make sure to get them in ASAP. LeBron or AD? Do you have a lean today?
LeBron.
Okay. Let's see.
I mean, and that is just a lean, by the way. No, it's never a firm answer for either one of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, maybe other than the days where, when AD played Houston, I feel like that was one where it's just probably play AD today, given that they have nobody over 6'5", playing regularly. But in general today, I would agree that, you'd go either way. I wouldn't be mad at you either way. All right, so we are locked now. So hopefully I can
lock. Also, watch PGA Live Before Lock, 8:30 tonight. Ben Rasa and Jason Roslin talking the Genesis Open.
Those guys do a great job for all the PGA content we have and all the tournaments. It's PGA season right now. So if you're looking for some things to do with the NBA on All-Star break, you can still do NBA content or still do all of our NBA content with Fast Eddie and EMAC doing some shows for the All-Star game. If you want to play a part in a real sport, it's going on with some actual stakes this week. The PGA is going on. So check that out with those guys. Let me get the ownership for a quick round of daddy likes, and then we will talk super draft again. This back half hour is all super draft all the time, so we'll be basically just naming off the top plays. Josh will tell you who's seeing. I'll tell you who Osmo has as his super draft top plays. So right now, get on board there. Use the promo code Osmo10 to get yourself $10 free when you sign up. No deposit needed. If you want to deposit over $100, we'll get you $30. Under 100, we'll get you $20. It's a better deal than we have normally from them. They're trying to get people in there today. And their big tournament up top, $10K to first place, the biggest tournament that SuperDraft has ever had. So go to superdraft.io right now or download SuperDraft in the App Store. And when you are signing up, as you are making your account on SuperDraft, use the promo code AWESEMO10, AWESEMO10 to get yourself $10 free. Or again, those deposit bonuses, $30 for over 100, $20 for under 100. And if you finish in the top 10, you can also get a $250 swag bag from SuperDraft. All you have to do is follow at Ricky Stroud, RICKYSTROUDE on Twitter. And got the ownership now. And then our promo as well for our biggest Awesemo giveaway ever, because you know what? I know the people out there, they're like, hey, we love when Spags shills things and when he has to continually shill things over and over again. So make sure to go right now to @awesemo_com. Check out the pinned tweet on there. It's a giveaway with the Nuggets and Lakers game. It's a simple guessing game on there. And if you do that, we're giving away a lot of premium Awesemo Plus memberships. So check out that pinned tweet in honor of our 2-year anniversary on there, entering the 3rd year of Awesemo.com. And Josh and I have been on board since pretty much day one. So we are happy to be giving away a lot there, of course, with the help of our fine folks behind the scenes who are trying to make that happen. So support them, support guys like Rinpack. We're working hard to make sure social media stuff gets popping. All right. So actually, can you answer that super draft question that we paused before for Skylar?
Yeah. What was it again?
It was Ilyasova or Johnson on super draft, 1.9x for both.
Ilyasova or James Johnson?
Yep.
I assume it's James Johnson.
For me, it would be James Johnson, but it's a nice multiplier on there for sure.
Yes, it is James Johnson.
All right,
not all that far apart, but it's James Johnson.
All right, quick round of daddy likes here to give you guys the
James
ownership.
Johnson's
on
a small forward. No, he's not.
He's flexible. He's got flexible eligibility. All right. Not super draft ownership. Real fast round of daddy likes here. You want to guess who number 1 is from the early games? It's the Cleveland game, the Orlando game. It looks like, and I think that's it.
Larry Nance.
Correct. How much?
More than I have, probably 28.
Actually 35. So yeah, wow. That is a lot of Larry Nance out there. People really like their.
I have 16.
I have about 33%, I think. Though I might have that a little bit here with some of the changes. I didn't get my final number because of just pivoting things as we were going. But probably 25% for me. I feel fine with that. I don't think I'm missing out if he has a big day. But I think he's going to have some issues here with Drummond just sucking up a lot. But matchup against Atlanta, probably as good of one as you can get. Number 2 on the list looks like Trey Young at 35%. And again, this is a DraftKings big tournament, the mini heartbreaker, I believe it's called. Dwayne Dedmon, 17%.
Trey Young was 35?
Yep, 35.
That's less than appealing.
It's a lot of Trey. People had to spend their money somewhere, and they like Trey. So
we were a little
I'm
lighter
with that
than
Trey
that.
Ownership too. I thought he'd be above on Trey, but apparently not.
I tried to be.
yeah, that's where I was too. It's happened a few times recently, which it's tough, but a lot of money to go around. Dwayne Dedmon, 17%. Andre Drummond, also 17%. I like both those guys, and I have more than the field of both those guys.
I have a ton of Dwayne Dedmon. I don't have any Andre Drummond.
Okay.
I have Drummond. 2 lineups of Andre Drummond, but I mean, that might as well be 0.
That's fair. I thought Drummond was a good pay-up option all day. To me, the issue is really more that there were other guys that I wanted to get to who are cheap, but for a pay-up option, I think he's the best center play for me on DraftKings. Let's see. I still have some stupid Rozier lineups. Rest of the ownership here, we'll burn through it so we could talk super draft because there is a lot to talk about on super draft. Colin Sexton at 11.5%. That seems fair. Gets a little bit of a usage boost with Love out. Kevin Porter rounded up 11%. He was good value before all the other value came on board, so that's fine to me. Aaron Gordon at 4%. And Vooch also at 4%. Would either of those guys appeal to you at 4%?
Aaron Gordon, I don't have it all. Vooch, I don't have it all.
Okay. I think I have 1 or 2 lineups with Gordon. I might have actually switched off with one of them, but didn't get a lot of Gordon, but I think at 4%, he's certainly got some upside against the Detroit team who's going to leave some rebounds on the table without Drummond in there now. DeAndre Hunter, 3%. Christian Wood down at 2% alongside Kevin Huerter. It's a fall from grace for Christian Wood after one bad day. Chetty Osman, 2%. John Collins, 2%, was way too expensive on DraftKings, but he's been playing well. Darius Garland, 1.5%. Markelle Fultz, 1.2%. Terrence Ross, 1.1%. Thon McCurr, 1%. Evan Fournier, a rounded up 1. Svi Mikhailuk, a rounded up 1. Jeff Teague, same thing. Wes Iwundu, same thing. Bruce Brown, 0.6. Reggie Jackson, 0.4. Derrick Rose, 0.5. I have one lineup of Derrick Rose. That's fine. Tristan Thompson, 0.3. Cam Reddish, 0.2. John Henson, 0.2. James Ennis, 0.2. Tony Snell, 0.2. Kem Birch, 0.1. How do you play Kem Birch today? There's some other ways to go besides Kem Birch, but shout out to those people who played Kem Birch. Michael Carter-Williams, 0.1. Langston Galloway rounded up 0.1. Sekou Demboya. I think we had a guy in the premium Slack earlier who's the only guy playing Sekou at 0.06%. Vince Carter, 0.05. Damian Jones, 0.02%. He is out today, as is Kevin Love, also at 0.02. Josh, you know what those people did?
Paid some rake.
They did, in fact, pay some rake. All right. One more half hour to go, guys. Hit the like button. This is feeling like a Jerry Lewis telethon, which I feel like is a dated reference now. Oh, my God. How do people do this?
I don't know.
We got 2,600 entries in the jump shot right now. So if you haven't got in there, do it. Only 1,200 entries left in this tournament. 10K up top, the largest prize ever on SuperDraft. Go to superdraft.io or download SuperDraft in the App Store and use the promo code AWESEMO10 right now. Do the sign up part right now while I'm talking. Go to superdraft.io or again, download SuperDraft in the App Store if you're choosing and use the promo code AWESEMO10 when you sign up. That'll give you $10 free without even depositing anything. You can play on some of the cheaper tournaments if you wanted with that. Or you could pay up a little bit, put into some money there. You deposit over $100, you are getting $30 in super cash free. You deposit under $100, you're getting $20 in super cash free. It's a better deal than we are usually able to offer because they want to get you guys on there for this big tournament. So take advantage of it right now. Promo code AWESEMO10. And the top 10 people on there, if you finish in the top 10 in the jump shot tournament, you can win a free $250 swag bag as well from SuperDraft. All you have to do is follow our guy, our liaison to the world of SuperDraft, the future of DFS, Ricky Stroud, on Twitter at Ricky Stroud, RICKYSTROUDE. All right, so let's go through it, Josh. Top SuperDraft play for you. I'll let you go first, and then we'll see what Osmo has.
I'm going to run the sim quick, and we'll be able to check it out. I just pasted it over now, just saving my model, and we'll take a quick peek. I mean, I'm pretty sure I know what the answer is going to be, and I assume that we will be pretty comparable. I'm expecting to see Eric Bledsoe at the top, but let's run the sim and find out. 1,000 running right now. It'll take 10 seconds.
Yeah, Eric Bledsoe is actually not number one for the boss man right now.
Ooh. Check Diallo?
Check Diallo is it with a 2x multiplier. So Check Diallo, a foundational building block today on SuperDraft for sure.
Yeah, so Check Diallo is interesting because he's got power forward center eligibility. So it's a lot easier to get him into a lineup than it normally would be if you were just listed as a center. Check Diallo is my number 2, or at least it looks like he's going to be my number 2. So,
actually, you know what? I'm going to build this lineup while we go this time because we don't usually do this part. We don't normally like to build lineups for people because that's kind of counterintuitive to the point of DFS. And quite frankly, with all the variance in DFS and the ways things can go, it's just not a smart approach for you or for us. But because it's SuperDraft and because there's a lot of flexibility here, I think we should just try to build our optimal lineup for SuperDraft while we go. So I'm going to just put in Check Diallo now because you guys share him in the top 2. Eric Bledsoe is number 2 for the boss man. Is Eric Bledsoe also, you said he was number 1 for you, right?
Yeah, he's number 1 for me. Pretty significantly ahead of Check Diallo, but ultimately it's still just, 2 big ones.
All right. So Eric Bledsoe making it in. He is a point guard on SuperDraft. So we got 2 of our positions filled. Looks like number 3 on Osmo's list is going to be Chris Middleton, a 1.35x multiplier on there. So still a pretty good little multiplier discount on him with no Giannis. I'm very comfortable with him. Is he number 3 for you?
He is not. He's actually 8th for me.
Ooh. All right.
Which is obviously, still good. We're quibbling here. If I give Chris Middleton one more minute, he's probably 3rd.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I guess let's pause on Middleton. Let's not put him in our lineup for sure yet. We can circle back to him if we want to get him in there. So we'll just keep Bledsoe and Diallo for now. D'Angelo Russell, now number 4 for the boss man, a 1.3x multiplier on him and all the usage in the world in this spot tonight for him with no Towns out there. I would be comfortable putting him in if he's in your top 5.
He is not in my top 5. He
Ooh, okay.
is 9th.
Huh. All right. So we'll omit him for now. So Russell and Middleton are 2 guys we can circle back on. Is James Johnson in your top 5? Because he is number 5 for the boss man with his 1.9x multiplier.
James Johnson is not there. He is not close either. 30th.
Oh, okay.
Alex and I have been like in lockstep for these.
Yeah. Oh,
I think that's interesting.
Word. That was weird.
Jinx, buy me a soda.
All right. So, okay, James Johnson, not a lock for Josh. I think we can hold off on him. Is Marquise Chris next for you?
Marquise Chris is 18th.
Damn. All right. 1.7x multiplier for Marquise. Yeah, I don't know that I have to have him, but you know what? I'm going to make an executive decision. I want Marquise Chris in my lineup today, in my super draft lineup that I'm making for us. Where are you at, Marquise? You a forward or you a center? He's center only on DraftKings now, which I don't like.
He is center only on SuperDraft as well.
Damn you. Oh, so we have to give up that spot. I guess that doesn't matter. Center is actually kind of weak on SuperDraft unless
I only have Jokic and Diallo ahead of him, and obviously you could just put Diallo at power forward.
Yeah. Jokic is pretty good. 1.1x playing the Lakers. That's the kind of spot that Jokic does show up for. I would go Jokic over Chris. Would you agree?
Yes, I would.
Okay. So Jokic makes it in. Not one of the top guys there, but I feel a little more comfortable relative to super draft multipliers with Jokic than I do with Chris. Though, again, I do have a lot of Chris on DraftKings. 1.7x multiplier in super draft. So he is still in play very much, but maybe less of a necessity on there. LeBron and Anthony Davis next up on, actually, no, Andrew Wiggins is next on Osimo's list. A 1.5x multiplier for him. Certainly going to have the usage, probably going to have a decent day one of these days for him. How are you feeling about Wiggins? Would he make it into your super draft lineup?
33rd.
Man, all right. So no Wiggy. You and the boss man. I wonder if he changed something with the way that he was doing it, because you guys have been like literally like 1-to-1 for all the shows we've done so far.
I know, it's crazy.
Well, either way, we give you the fun facts here, or the actual facts, not just the fun facts. We give you all the facts here, and these are the facts. Sometimes people disagree with their projections, especially on a slate of this size. It's probably going to happen even more than usual.
So maybe I should hit you guys with my plays, which I just realized
was
showing on the screen, so I've moved it over now so everybody can see it. So number 3 for me, Karis LeVert. He's 1.75 multiplier. He came up as a top 10 play 34% of the time.
I have no issue with it. I think that's, I think he also just went off against Toronto within the last week. That certainly doesn't hurt the proof there, but coming off of a down game where Dinwiddie kind of had the better day, I think it's perfectly fine to go to LeVert today.
Number 4, Donovan Mitchell, which I have already shown that I'm a little high on for today, but 1.5x multiplier, 28% of in the top 10. Also joining him at 1.5x as my number 5 guy, Spencer Dinwiddie. So go Nets.
Yeah, Dinwiddie, he's right there for Osimo as well. He's inside the top 10, just behind LeBron and AD. So Dinwiddie, probably a little bit undervalued. I do like this next guy on Osimo's list, and I'm going to advocate for him being in the super draft lineup. Devontae Graham, 1.4x multiplier. I think he gets a bigger boost from not having Rozier in there today, especially if Monk doesn't start, but we'll find out. Oh, actually, we do know that. I would go with Graham in the lineup next if you were okay with that.
I have Graham 11th, so no issues.
Okay. All right, so Graham in. So right now we have Bledsoe and Graham in at guard, Diallo in at forward, and Jokic in at center. So who are the best forward players? Who's the best guard player remaining, do we think? I feel like we got to have maybe one of AD or LeBron somewhere in here.
AD and LeBron are the next 2 names on my list after Spencer Dinwiddie. It goes LeBron, then AD. I'm rerunning my sim. I just trimmed the bottom off of it, so I'm going to run it again.
I would take LeBron today, I feel like, over AD for super draft. I mean, same multiplier, so kind of the same as they are on the other DFS sites with their prices being similar. I feel like AD has a little bit of a tougher time inside against Denver, though maybe not, because like Ayton killed him the other day too. I'll go LeBron at forward.
I have LeBron by like 1.5. So
all right. So
AD has bigger standard deviation of performance, so you can go either way. Cool.
You talked about this too with
Deadman
the
has
office
2
hours.
fouls. Awesome. Fucking awesome.
Wait, who does?
Deadman.
Oh, crap.
I played a lot of them.
Played less of them than I probably would have otherwise, but oh boy.
I mean, he's still going to be out there, but it's not ideal.
No, certainly not an optimal situation. You can say that.
Nicked.
All right. Give me a guard. Give me a guard that you would want to put into this lineup here because we do have 1 guard position left and 1 forward position left.
What guards do you have in?
We have Bledsoe and Graham forward. We have James. We have LeBron and Diallo, and at center we have Jokic.
Who does Alex have higher, Donovan Mitchell or Spencer Dinwiddie?
He has Dinwiddie higher by 0.29.
Let's go Dinwiddie.
All right, Dinwiddie it is. So guards are now done. We've got Dinwiddie, we've got Bledsoe, we've got Graham, we got LeBron. Why does that one disappear? Come back, Graham.
Still have 900 open spots into the jump shot on SuperDraft, guys. Go check that out. 10K to first. We might be looking at a decent chunk of overlay. At the very least, it's looking like a minimal rake.
Yeah, it's again a gigantic tournament, the biggest one they've done yet. And still not gigantic by other DFS sites. I mean, usually if you're finding a 10K tournament with this amount of a fee, it's not under 4K entrants in it. There's only 3,800 entries in this tournament. So it is still a tournament that's going to have an easier shot for you to take down the top prize than the 100K ones that we are all often playing on the other sites. All right, last forward spot. We got Chris Middleton still in the mix. We kind of pushed him aside earlier. Anybody else projecting really well for you at forward that you feel like would be a worthwhile addition?
Who do we have in there? LeBron and Middleton?
We've got LeBron and Diallo. Middleton we put aside. Okay. And then, the guards are Bledsoe, Dinwiddie, and Graham, and centers Jokic. You could just take Luka at 1x. I mean, 1x isn't great, though.
I have him very low. I don't want to put LeVert in there if we already have Dinwiddie.
Middleton, then.
Same sort of principle for Bledsoe, but a little bit less so.
See, I don't mind. I never mind playing him together. Yeah. That's one of the things usually for me.
I don't have an issue either.
All right, so I think it's unless like Butler against Utah, like I don't think he's the same multiplier. I would feel more comfortable with Middleton. Siakam with Ibaka back in, that doesn't feel that great. Randall against Washington at 1.3x is kind of interesting.
He's my number 9. I was just about to say that.
Yeah, you know what? I think we could do Randall then. I think that seems like a decent.
That'll be unique.
Yeah, so that's the one way to get different. So our final lineup that we would be putting in right now would be Bledsoe, Dinwiddie, Devontae Graham at guard, LeBron James, Check Diallo, and Julius Randle at forward. And if you wanted to swap Middleton for one of those guys, certainly a move as well. And Nikola Jokic at center, a quality center play. You could also move Diallo over to center and do some different things there, but that's a base that I think Josh and I would both feel comfortable with. So if you want to take that lineup, if you want to literally steal that lineup right now and play it on SuperDraft, there's a decent possibility that you'll be doing well on there, and probably happy to cash because I think you would cash with that one. I feel pretty confident on that.
You and me both. 733 spots to go, guys. It's looking like overlay potentially, minimal rake for sure.
Yep, there is a lot of money in this tournament. So, and again, we talk about it with the, with the concept of overlay, but also with these new sites and the newer sites popping up, wanted to get you on board. They're offering the deposit bonuses for you guys. They're offering the swag bag if you finish in the top 10 and follow at Ricky Stroud. They are also offering you, again, for the deposit bonuses, a different deposit bonus than usual, $10 free. You just have to put in an account. You don't have to deposit anything if you do that right now and use the promo code AWESEMO10. Or if you use that promo code AWESEMO10, you can get yourself $30 if you deposit over 100 or $20 if you deposit under 100. So lots of ways for you to stack up the deposit bonuses. And that is a big way for building your bankroll as a new player, playing on a younger site with less of an edge, or less of an established edge rather, for the pro players out there. Something that can definitely give you some help.
By the way, did you say that Damon Jones played himself earlier?
Damian Jones, yeah, he got ruled out.
Yeah, he has played 2 minutes and 37 seconds already.
Didn't he get? I thought that was why Dedmon was starting. Was the Fantasy Schmabs alert said that he was out? I thought
he is in.
All right, well,
those Kevin Love guys played themselves. Drummond 2.7 boards and 2 blocks in the first 5 minutes, and put Dedmon back on the bench. That can't be going much worse.
No, no, we cannot. And we are on the same page for that one. I would, would like a redo on playing Dedmon. He just he had a good day against Orlando, and I was like, Dedmon getting a start here in a spot where they need him. But yeah, of course, Drummond got him into foul trouble. That's what Drummond does. Doesn't feel the best.
No, it certainly doesn't. I opened up the Pistons immediately because I'm still not used to him being on Cleveland.
I had that in the four corners today where I had the right thing on the screen, but I still said Detroit instead of Cleveland for the game. And I was like, and I caught it afterwards, and I hate having mistakes. That's one of my, it's funny because I'm not a person who's, type A with that type of stuff in general, but also Larry Nance playing not the best so far.
I mean, if Andre Drummond's got 2, 7, and 2 blocks, there's not a lot going around for Larry Nance.
Nope, definitely not.
Big jump in entries right there. So it's just under 600 open spots with 7 minutes and 55 seconds to go. Let's see. Who did I get in a sim that Sterling Brown in 3 out of 1,000? I wouldn't play that.
Yeah. He did. I mean, he did get a bit of a boost the other day and kind of took it away from Dante DiVincenzo. So, there's at least proof of that occurring occasionally, sporadically. Also, 2x multiplier guys. We talked about Diallo. Diallo, clearly the best 2x multiplier guy. But are Juancho, Naz Reid, Willie Hernan-Gomez, Caleb Martin, or any of these guys popping up for you in the 2x range and maybe being somebody worth taking a stab at?
Wancho is the highest guy I have that isn't Diallo. Then Kai Bowman, then Naz Reid. Neither of those guys are guys that I would be getting a lot of. Drummond has 2 fouls, but I don't think that matters at all.
Yeah, I mean, I've got enough of my Naz Reid on DraftKings tonight, so that feels great. But I mean, I think Naz, I wouldn't mind taking a stab at. He's just so productive per minute. If he somehow, if we have the same situation where there's some foul trouble, or he just earns a little more run. I mean, he's been productive, 1.2 fantasy points per minute on the year. So I do think that Naz Reid still in a pretty strong spot. I see DFS asking, how do you guys feel about Mitchell Robinson at 1.7x against the Wizards? It's a decent multiplier. The minutes for him, though, I wouldn't feel the most secure about. But would you be willing to play Mitchell at 1.7x going against the Wizards?
He ranks 45th for me, so probably not much.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'm replying to somebody in the chat, even though I can just on the show, but I pray for our Naz Reid. I'm writing it in the chat and also saying it out loud. I am praying for Naz Reid because I'm not coming off of it at this point. I'm going to be asleep the second we finish this show. That much. Even though it's the West Coast and it's still bright out, I will be asleep.
Not me. I'm going to eat a quick dinner, and then I'll be back for 8:30 producing the PGA DFS Live Before Lock show. Ben Rossa and Jason Roslin talking Genesis Open.
The DFS never stops here. That's why we encourage you guys hit the subscribe button so you know whenever we have content, because obviously we have content literally all the time. Literally every day of your life, we probably have some piece of content going out, I would say, as long as we're not suspended on YouTube. That tends to be the one inhibitor that we come across occasionally. All right. Anything else you feel like is worth noting in your sims and the lobby? Let me just check the lobby to see where we are. We got almost filled here, 400 entries left, so get in there if you've been meaning to. Again, our lineup that we just gave away for free is Bledsoe, Dinwiddie, Devontae Graham, LeBron James, Check Diallo, Julius Randle, Jokic. Again, if you want to make some pivots to that same lineup, just throw in 3 entries, put Diallo at center, put in Chris Middleton at forward, put in AD instead of LeBron. It's really simple to build lineups that you like on SuperDraft. That is the benefit of them. That's why they call themselves the future of DFS, because it's really designed to get casual players in. And for you as somebody who knows the DFS space, that watches these shows, you have a pretty good edge playing on SuperDraft right now, because the fields have not fully caught up with the edge that you have just playing on SuperDraft right now.
What do we got left? Oh, I'm going to sneeze.
Yep. We got 5 minutes left, and we got 400 entries left in the contest. So it looks like at least you're not paying rake tonight. So
you're paying less rake tonight, that's for sure. This might actually, it's probably going to come pretty close.
I hope so.
It'll come pretty close.
Chance to win 10K in this style of tournament with just 3,800 other people in the tournament. Like, it's really one of your better shots to win 10K. I feel like maybe some single entries out there, but for the most part, like that's as good as you're going to find across the industry.
No doubt about it. I mean, they needed 3,333 entries to not have overlay. So now it's just minimal rake. So that's exciting. Fill that bad boy up, guys. 400 spots to go. 3 minutes and 30 seconds to get in there before I get to go eat some takeout hibachi.
Oh, takeout hibachi sounds nice.
It's great, man.
Yeah, I've been trying to eat better this week, and I have been, but today, like a day like this, I feel like is one where I then find solace in Jack in the Box, and I feel like that may be the case today.
I also have, if I have a little bit too much of the greenery, 2 pieces of carnivore pizza left in the fridge from last night, post pop-up oyster bar.
So you went wild.
I did. I did.
Look, I support that. I definitely do. Carnivore pizza, just like a meat lover's pizza?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay, good. A nice meaty. I also like those too sometimes a little gross when you get them fresh. I think sometimes they're actually better reheated because like the grease kind of congeals together so you don't feel like as much of a monster. Whereas like if you dabbed one of those meat pizzas in the beginning, the amount of oil that comes off is like horrifying.
Yeah, this was
delicious.
So good. I can't wait to bang out those final 2 slices. I might just I might eat them for breakfast tomorrow and toss a fried egg on top. Be good shit. 3 minutes, guys.
Citizen Cage, there's never overlay. There's actually been a lot of overlay, especially in the back half of the weeks with our SuperDraft shows. So yeah, that's in the beginning part of the week. You're probably more right than not, but we try to tell you when there is, and obviously the point of telling you to get overlay is to get you to sign up. So there's going to be a diametrically opposed situation there for all that.
Shouldn't oysters be a Valentine's Day thing? 1, I can't control when a place runs a pop-up oyster bar. 2, oysters are an always thing. They're just delicious constantly. I live on the coast.
Yeah, I love oysters. I will be having sushi for Valentine's Day, doing some omakase with the lady that I'm currently stuck with. Wrote me in and trapped me in with some sort of cage with a carrot inside. But yeah,
I'm making steaks.
That's nice. That's a better move. Like we're going somewhere local, so I feel like I don't care. Like if I could walk to the place, I probably won't be as annoying for Valentine's Day. But yeah, going out on Valentine's Day, kind of a sucker's move generally.
Although maybe I make some fresh pasta. We'll see. Got a pasta making attachments and stuff for Christmas that I've only used once.
What'd you make when you made it? Raviolis?
No, I did not a filled pasta. Something in the vein of spaghetti, but not spaghetti. Not a red sauce. So I'm searching for it so I don't whiff on it.
I want to know now. This is the last thing I want to do for the Super Draft show. Second, get your lineups in if you haven't yet. And it looks like there'll be a bit of rake saved for you guys on Super Draft today. About 100 entries short there.
I will whiff on this pronunciation. We've talked about this before. If you just read it without trying to read it in Italian, it's aglio e olio. I don't know the proper way to say that in Italian.
Like an olive oil pasta.
Yes.
Yeah.
Olive oil, lemon juice, lots and lots of like fried garlic, parsley. Probably missing one thing, but crushed red pepper flakes.
Josh Silverberg, LMAO spag sounds so antisocial sometimes. Oh no, I have to take this girl out for Valentine's Day. What a drag. I think you don't understand how commitment phobic I am and how much I enjoy my freedom and not having to do things like that. It's not antisocial. It's just, I'm sure Josh could testify as a married person. You love your wife and all that, but when you have your bachelor nights, those are probably some of the more fun nights where you can just do nothing and JO, either literally or metaphorically.
Yes, absolutely. Also, Silverberg was my fake wrestling name in like middle school.
Is that a reference to you? Are you Josh Silverberg? Right? Are you trolling me?
I was the lesser form of Goldberg.
That's actually kind of funny. So you were like a Gilbert ripoff, but not really.
Sort of. But before he ever was the ripoff. I was the ripoff first.
That's really funny. I'm amazed that hasn't come up in this, but I'm glad that Josh Silverberg chimed in. So we got that little bit of fun fact we have not had in 2 years of doing shows.
And we're locked.
We are locked. So
what we get to?
We appreciate all you guys for watching. We appreciate SuperDraft for putting on this show. Again, if you finished in the top 10 of that tournament tonight, make sure to follow at Ricky Stroud, RickYStroude on Twitter. He is one of the guys behind the scenes at SuperDraft. He's going to send you a $250 swag bag if you do finish in their top 10. Obviously, fishing in that top 10, biggest tournament ever. You'll be happy with the money you get there, but a free swag bag, got some fun stuff in there. So go follow Ricky if you do happen to finish in the top 10, or follow him anyway. Important SuperDraft notes.
They almost filled, man.
You plug the PGA.
54 entries short.
Long distance high five. All right, golf plug one last time.
PGA DFS live before lock coming up an hour from now. Ben Rasa, Jason Roslin breaking down the Genesis Open. Lock is tomorrow at a time that I have no idea off the top of my head, but they'll be going for an hour. So come tune in. It's a good show. And I'll be behind the virtual glass playing FIFA like I normally am.
There you go. And also tune in, special Friday Rising Stars show with Fast Eddie in EMAC, 7:45 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're really jonesing for some NBA DFS in your life, that'll still be going on. Also some content going on for the All-Star Game. So subscribe and hit the notification bell. Lastly, for me, tomorrow, my column, The Slant and Go for the XFL coming out for week 2. Spent the day yesterday, pretty much like a good 8 hours putting together a sheet so I know what to talk about and all the data points that we need to know from week 1. So that'll be coming out tomorrow. Friday, also another XFL strategy show with Sal Vetri. Be doing that Friday morning. So please watch that. Subscribe again. Hit that notification bell on YouTube to know when we go live. We appreciate you guys sticking in for these marathon shows. We appreciate you guys playing on SuperDraft. Do it. They're putting on bigger tournaments each day, in part because of the success we're having with you guys, getting you on board. So go support them. Download the app or check them out at superdraft.io. And we appreciate all you guys. So hope you have a great night. Hope the chaos works out for you. We'll see you guys again soon. Good luck.